George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Well, I think it's time I set the record straight about my friend George Bush. Some people seem their noses out of joint. If he did drugs back then, so what's the point? 'Cause as a candidate, George Bush is fine. So what if he snorted a line? Well, he's the best damn candidate I've seen. I don't care if he pops amphetamine. President Clinton was a ticking mine. So here's to Bush. Keep it alive. I guess I just don't understand what the big deal is. We've had many presidents in the office who've done one thing or another. Take Gerald Ford, for instance. Obviously, he was on something. Otherwise, why was he falling down all the time? And take Jimmy Carter, for example. Well, I bet he was so hopped up on skunk weed, he didn't even know there were hostages for the first 8 months. Why, even way back to Washington. I do believe the only reason he chopped down the cherry tree was because he had the munchies. Think about it.
10:02 is our QAM non-sports time. I can't believe my cable box is a minute slow. How's that possible? I thought the guys were getting out early this morning or something like that. I thought maybe they're giving me back some of that time from lately. You know, these rejoins that we have that go on for like about 5 minutes? See, I don't really think, well, I don't want to go into it. What's the point, you know? Am I going to, influence Clarence on anything?
No.
Because he's the expert. He's been in the business for, what, about 10 minutes?
Were you going to say that you don't think that these people want to hear these long-ass rejoins about...
Yeah, about the game?
Yeah.
And about some sports interview that was on like 7 days ago or whatever.
And I was going to say, what do you know?
Go on and on and on. Like I've said before, it's like having 4 on this show. Of course, I don't know how many breaks they're doing the rest of the day, probably 10. But we have 4 breaks an hour. It's like having 4 5-minute newscasts an hour. Great programming, Clarence, you idiot. And then at the end of the show, you know how you try to back time so you get out of here right on time every day, which I try assiduously to do. And then yesterday, that long, ponderous rejoin where the Mad Dog is bada-beep, bada-boop, bada-meow. I mean, usually he's pretty entertaining and caustic and whatever. But it was just ponderous. You know, we all have our ponderous moments. And it went on and on. Am I right, Josh? Did that go on for an interminable amount of time, or was it my imagination?
No, you're right. It was pretty long.
And what are they thinking about? How long do those have to be? Why can't we say, Jim Mandich, 2 to 4 weekday, blah, 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 or whatever, you know, whatever it's going to be, whatever that rotation is, you know? Geldy tonight for the Humpers. Something.
What do you know about broadcast?
Yeah, I know nothing about this business, man. Thank God we got a program director with years and years of experience who is presiding over 20 hours of sports radio that are just kicking our own ass, big time. So, Miguel likes the Man Cow show, huh?
Well, he says he's listened twice and there's nothing wrong with it. That was his exact comment.
Nothing wrong with it.
It comes in fine. In other words, it's listenable.
I don't want to sit here and promote that thing. Before you know it, it wasn't bad enough that Sean screwed us up with that anti-men poll yesterday.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Probably PO'd half of our male audience. And now you're trying to shove them up the dial there to a Man Cow with that stupid-ass Steve Lappa guy and Norma Kent, his boyfriend. More bad news from Iraq. I can't believe it. Can you believe that?
Why don't you ever read any of the good news?
Because there isn't any. You won't believe the songs that George found between yesterday and today, and also we got my computer unscrewed up, thanks to Eric. Nice going, Eric. You idiot. I think he was partly responsible for being so difficult in the first place, but nevertheless, that'll get him all wigged out. He is so emotional. At least 119 Iraqi policemen were killed in shootings, abductions, and bomb attacks in October, the Interior Ministry said today, underscoring the toll Iraq's relentless violence is inflicting on the poorly trained and under-equipped force. Iraqi President Jalal Talabani said on a trip to France it would take his country 2 or 3 years to set up its own security forces and send U.S.-led troops home. 2 or 3 years. You can only imagine how many more dead troops we can have by then. How much more murder and bloodshed we can have.
It's worth
on your president's hands.
Don't stay the course.
Yeah, stay the course. I never said it, but let's stay the course. What's the worst thing about men, we asked yesterday, and boy, you people were not happy with that poll. I apologize profusely. Not. If we could do the one about women, why the hell not do the one about men? Although, interestingly, since our audience is almost entirely male, when we did the poll about what's the worst thing about women, I think that was on Monday, whatever the hell it was. That's the only negative I see on the history here on our website. Eric did a fine job on that, but you don't see the date. You know what I mean? You have no idea what the date was when we took these babies?
I see.
You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when I go back in there, when I'm really stuck for a poll ID, and I go back into the history and find an oldie but a goldie, I don't want to Goldie. I don't want to do one that we just did like 6 weeks ago or something. And of course, with my senior moments that I have now, how can I remember when the hell we done it? You know?
I'm sure he could arrange it so that the date would show.
Well, I'm just tossing that out there. I don't want to create any difficulties for him. What's the worst thing about women? And let's see. I hate this poll. There was only 6.4%. What's the worst thing about men, which we did yesterday? The leading response was, I hate this poll, 25.7%. Out of 1,472 votes, 379 of you guys said, I hate this poll. Nothing wrong with men. We're all good. Yeah, right. I hate this poll, 379. Obsession with sports, 188. There's Slavs, 158. There are too many of them. That was George's idea, 127. I don't think there's enough.
Yeah.
Of course, if I could, like, wave a magic wand and create a whole lot more of them, you know what they'd all look like. But nevertheless. Infidelity, 119. They lie like hell, 114. Nothing, they're great. Men are great, 108. Now, what was the deal we had on the women? Let's see. Only 6%. Here we had 7.3. Mm-hmm. That wasn't that bad. Men are inconsiderate, 105. They rape, 81. That was George's wife who said they're all rapists. And that's because her limited experience, of course, is with...
Well, we were watching the news story.
Nothing, they're perfect. Men are perfect, 36. Well... Whatever you say. They can't commit, 35, and they're homophobic. They're not into them faggots, 22. They're very uptight about that whole fag scene. Unless, of course, it's lesbians, which they like a lot. What am I going to do about this clock being a minute slow here? I don't understand how that can happen. Because it's supposed to be like, you know, the atomic clock, and I know it's slow, because I'm looking at my City Pulse clock on there, which says 10:07:34, and this thing still says 10:06. It's coming up on 10:08. I don't get that. Well, how is that possible?
If you set it ahead an hour, we can leave an hour early.
It says it's 1:52.
All right.
Now, you're always telling me about South Carolina and the difference between North and South Carolina.
That is correct.
A 23-year-old Clover, South Carolina man who police say tried to dig up the grave of a 12-year-old girl after seeing her picture in an obituary has been sentenced to 20 years in prison. Brian Nicholas Garcia never did find the girl's grave, thanks God, and told investigators he wanted to take her home and have fun. Clover Police Lieutenant Randall Horn. Oh, brother. Take her home and have some fun. Garcia pleaded guilty but mentally ill yesterday to 2 charges of the destruction of a graveyard. Circuit Judge John Haynes sentenced Garcia to 20 years in prison, ordered him to register as a sex offender. How can you be a sex offender when you want to do a dead person? Is that offensive? Well, it's offensive to anybody, I guess, but you see what I'm saying?
You're offending the carcass.
2 mental evaluations found Garcia has a chemical imbalance in his brain that makes him want to have sex with corpses and children.
That's
defense attorney John Rios said. What?
The chemical imbalance thing, that's a good excuse. For any.
Garcia hasn't decided whether to appeal. The fact that he's in South Carolina, I think that should count for something. Garcia was arrested in May 2005 after running through a grocery store where he once worked in a full-length green coat, black sweater, camouflage gloves, and a mask. Officers searching his car found a black plastic bag, shovels, a pickaxe, and other digging tools, Prosecutor Dan Hall said. Garcia then told police he was embarrassed because he'd been trying to dig up the girl's grave. He had seen the name of a little girl in the obituaries in the paper. Hall said he thought she was cute and he wanted to take her home. You know, like a pet, like a chia pet. Deputies went to the cemetery and found a hole about 3 feet deep. Garcia told them he dug at the cemetery twice, but never located the girl's body. Garcia, who was a National Merit Scholar at York High School in South Carolina, told the girl's family he was sorry. I apologize to anyone I've hurt with my actions, he said. Clover, by the way, South Carolina, is about 20 miles southwest of Charlotte, North Carolina. Does that explain to you?
Right. Charlotte's right on the border there.
Right. So does that explain to you about... our sales manager came from Raleigh, didn't he, along with Joe Bell?
Which is north.
I see.
North Carolina.
Well, nothing could be finer than someone from Carolina.
Yep.
Than staying out of Carolina. I don't know what it is you like about it up there. See, you could be out there in the woods in, like, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, or like in...
yeah, but I can't drive there conveniently during a vacation.
Or like in Aintree, which is not that far away, Georgia.
Sure. Right.
Well, I don't understand, because, like, when the time changed on Saturday night, naturally everything connected with a computer automatically went back to daylight time, or to standard time. You didn't have to potchkey with it. So how is it possible that my cable box...
I don't know.
Which has always been dependable as hell. I always give the time off of that, you know. Now I have to keep the City Pulse on, so you're going to have to keep on CNN. Good. I'll stay on this until I figure if there's some way I can reset the time or something on this. You think that's possible? No. Could be. Like I can go to menu. Yesterday we were potchking around with the computer on the show for half the show. Maybe I can diddle around with the cable box today. It's the diddling show.
Let's do it.
Final poll shows war is still voters' main concern. Do you realize today is Thursday? Election day is only, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days away. I had to do that with my fingers. Another senior moment. The Iraq War continues to be the prevailing concern on the minds of voters, New York Times says in an article that will appear on the cover of its edition today. It already did. According to the Final Times CBS News poll before Election Day, Americans cited Iraq as the most important issue affecting their vote, and majorities of Republicans and Democrats said they wanted a change in the government's approach to the war, said Adam Nagorny and Megan Thee. Only 20% said they thought the U.S. was winning the war in Iraq, down from a high of 36% in January. The poll underlined the extent to which the war has framed the midterm elections. Nagorny and Thee also report that aside from the war in Iraq, the poll included worrisome indicators for Republicans as they go into the final days of the campaign, in which many of them are bracing for a loss of seats in the House and the Senate. They're off source, as they say in Indonesia. The poll found that just 29% of Americans approve of the way Bush is managing the war in Iraq, matching the lowest mark of his presidency. Oh! Isn't that exciting? Nearly 70% of Americans said Bush did not have a plan to win the war, and an overwhelming 80% said Mr. Bush's latest effort to rally public support for the conflict amounted to a change in language, but not in policy. In other words, he can say stay the course, or he can say whatever the hell he wants, but he ain't fooling too many of even the dumbest of the dumb. How do you like that? And in a year when there are many close races and where the party's success at turning their voters out could prove to be key, Democrats were much more enthusiastic than Republicans about voting and more likely to say they would support their party's candidates, though Republicans were slightly more likely to say they would turn out. 50% of independent voters, a closely watched segment of the electorate in such polarized times, said they intend to vote for the Democratic candidate versus 23% who said they would vote for a Republican. Among registered voters, 33% said they plan to support Republicans, 52% vote for Democrats. That's a 19-point lead. And no matter how many John Kerrys they trot out of the woodwork in the next 5 days, it's going to be pretty hard to blow that. Unless, of course, we have like another big Osama tape or like another one of these contrived, events. Something up Karl Rove's sleeve and up Mark Foley's ass. 10:13. Well, I'm all confused in this time. You have no idea how disconcerting it is to look at the clock and realize that it's wrong. I could look at my watch, says 10:13.
Yeah, we'll tape it up to the board there.
Right. I'll tell you one thing, speaking of numbers, it's Dollar Mattress's birthday, and it's their
About 30, man.
30th birthday. They've been around a long time. I've been doing business with Dollar Mattress for years. They are sensational. It's the most pleasant, the easiest piece of shopping that anybody can do. And to celebrate their birthday, Dollar Mattress and Simmons are offering the lowest price of the year on best-selling Simmons Beautyrest Pillow Top. How do you like that? It's their birthday now, and my birthday is Sunday. Happy birthday, Neil. Thank you so much. But don't mention it, please. You can choose from South Florida's biggest selection of Simmons Beautyrest with same-day delivery. If you're finally ready for a good night's sleep, call Dollar Mattress at 1-800-MATTRESS and get yourself factory-direct unbeatable prices and award-winning service with no nonsense, no BS. You don't have to schlep all over town and comparison shop, forgetting about those overpriced bedding in department stores. That's not the way to go. Dollar Mattress gives you 12-month financing, and with Dollar Mattress, an unbeatable delivery deal. You pick out the date and time for delivery, and they 7 days a week, 8 in the morning till 10 at night. Give them a 2-hour window, and they show up, even the same day that you call, like noon to 2, 1 to 3, 2 to 4, 3 to 5, and all these times. That's why Dollar Mattress is ranked #1 in customer satisfaction, and why everybody at QM and anybody with a brain uses Dollar Mattress. On the web, check them out at mattress.com. Or make that one easy call. Just reach over and grab your instrument. 1-800-MATTRESS. 1-800-MATTRES. Leave off the last S because it stands for Stupendous Savings and South Carolina.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Hey, Luis Miguel, play it, baby.
Increíble. Well, they caught me at the airport, hiding a baton, collapsible baton. What did I do wrong? Well, the pigs tried to arrest me. 20-inch baton in my carry-on. Said it was a fraud. At least it wasn't a fat doobie. Always got my pot, don't need a baton. Should have brought my bomb. I had a cop on my arm, but now everything is calm, because there wasn't some terrorist sneaking on a bomb.
Okay, 10:18, that's our correct time. My thing still says 10:17. It's coming up on 10:19. This thing is like almost 2 minutes slow.
Wow.
Isn't it?
Speed it up.
No, I guess when it gets to 10:19, this thing will say 10:18. Like I said, it's a minute slow. How is that possible? It would be like if the atomic clock was a minute off. So if anybody out there is a minute late for an appointment, blame us. Okay, it's my fault. My bad. And you know what it probably is? It's probably because the cable box here is all screwed up because of those long rejoins we have at the end of every break. And yesterday, wow, at the end of the show, see, I'm trying always, desperately, to back time to make sure that I don't run over.
Yeah.
Don't I do a pretty good job of that? I may not do anything else good the whole show, but I get out of here by 2 o'clock.
Not that it matters, but we both do it.
Like back in the old days when we first came on this horseball radio station, and when Mifo and Little Dog and Geldy run at Worst Team show in the morning. Oh, well, they're going to run a couple of minutes over today. They had a very important guest on there. Like, I don't understand that. I realize we're not running a network or something, but geez, I mean, is there a clock on the wall? Can you read the time? You need. It's like these guys who have to have the board op tell them when to take a break.
Oh, yeah.
That just frosts my fat old ass. But anyway, what am I talking about? Let's take a look at today's poll. Well, you thought that yesterday's poll was had a certain aroma to it.
Mm-hmm.
We did this one a long time ago, years ago. I don't know what the date was because Eric hasn't done that thing on the history yet. I don't think he's going to be able to do that, but we'll see.
He can do anything.
Eric can do anything. He's a computer magician, a wizard.
And
yes,
recently during that last break, he told me that he figured out what your problem was and corrected it on his end somehow.
Thanks, Eric. I told you, he's the best. He is a wizard. He's fat, but nobody's perfect, and he's very thin-skinned. You consider yourself, we have 883 votes, completely open-minded. I mean, this is just so ridiculous. 445, 50.2% of you say you're completely open-minded. In other words, not a trace of bigotry, prejudice. You're full of crap.
Right.
That's what I consider most of you, full of crap. I don't know anybody like that. Do you?
No.
Prejudice, 298.
That's what I voted.
Okay, now, see, that's the least. I hate this poll, 70. That's 7.9%. Again, a little bit on the high side there. Racist, 47, and a total bigot, 25. That's what I voted. Total bigot.
I voted prejudice because I got a problem with gypsies.
Yeah. I should have probably, I don't know, prejudice would have been good for me. I'm not a total bigot, but I voted that to try to be, I don't know, really honest. Because I have my prejudices, especially with all my trips out there to Woodbine. Again, yesterday, there were some really smarmy people there, man. Smelly, smarmy. Just, I don't know. I don't know who these people are. Maybe they come from Napoli or from the dregs of Italy, the Italian people that go out there. Because they're not like the Italians I ever encountered in Italy, or I never would have gone back. Not that there aren't some schleppers there. There's plenty of schleppers and getchkis in Italy, but nevertheless. And it's not. And then the Russians. How much? Oh, I shouldn't have said that because Josh's Russian girlfriend will be very upset. She don't listen anyway.
How much what?
Yeah, she does. She does?
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, that's because she wants your voice on the show. Isn't that what it is? It couldn't possibly because she's interested in what we're talking about on the program. I mean,
she likes old faggy guys. That would explain a lot.
Man, oh man, how many stories did you say I sent you so far? Thanks to Eric, I got that Hotmail thing all straightened out. You're going to have like 700 stories for the website tomorrow. Folks, get ready for a long weekend of reading. Tomorrow is Friday, which means Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Saturday. You're going to be reading up your ass because Josh is going to put stories on there about people that haven't been born yet. Iran has announced it'll carry out war games in the Persian Gulf. No, I was starting to say about the Russian people, very slovenly, and they don't bathe a lot. You know, if we redid the poll, maybe this is a good one for tomorrow again. I don't know. We did it maybe not that long ago. Do you think there are still people out there still using soap instead of body wash?
Sure, it's still in the supermarket, isn't it?
Get out of here. What kind of a schmuck is still using soap?
People who like hair.
People like hair on their soap, yeah. Especially curly ones. Get out of here.
It's for the scrubbing effect.
Oh, God. It would be like guys wearing white buck shoes and knickers or two-piece bathing suits at the beach or just silly old stuff. You know, I mean, I'm an old fuddy-duddy fart, and I'm the first one to admit it. You know, can I say something about that right now? Since my birthday is coming up on Sunday, I'm going to be 64, which is very close to a Social Security eligible. But I remember back in the day, and of course then there were those others who came along and started ripping off my act. But that's okay. Probably wouldn't be the best time now to be talking about that. But as far as ripping the old people, you know, and the whole mentality of South Florida, the condo mentality. Oh, my God, it's our time, Sonny. Get out of here. This is not for you. You're too young to be here. That kind of crap. Where you had to be a retiree to be in South Florida and to be miserable and hateful and stuff like that. Well, here I am. I'm almost a senior citizen officially. And guess what? I said it back then, and I'll say it again now. No matter how old I get, I'm never going to be like that.
No.
So I don't know what those people were like when they were younger.
The same, I imagine.
Yeah.
They just had other things
miserable,
to
nosy,
about.
and nasty. Right. And then, of course, there's something about South Florida that attracts, like a maggot magnet. It attracts that element of old farts. Miserable, hateful old farts, whose philosophy is it's not important that you be happy, but that everybody else be miserable. Share the misery. That's the mentality. There should be a big, big sign. Welcome to Florida. Come in and share our misery.
We got loads.
Because, I mean, you know, I can understand if you're old and you have aches and pains. Now, knock on... Oh, gee, that hurt. Knock on wood. I don't have aches and pains.
I almost spat my coffee out.
And I don't have any aches and pains. I mean, I don't know how. It must be that...
You're not trying hard enough.
No, I don't have any. Well, no, I actually do have a kind of arthritic shoulder. That's a slot machine shoulder. Oh. It is.
Carpal tunnel shoulder.
You laugh at that.
What?
It's like, what do you get carpal tunnel syndrome from?
Repetitive.
People who sit at a computer all day. There's more and more people now getting that from tapping on it. And the
repetitive motion disorder, whatever it is.
Right, that's it. Now you got your thumb on it.
That's carpal tunnel, whatever. It's all the same.
Right. Well, I got that in my shoulder now. from that putting the motion in my casket at the and you're telling me about you're losing all your money at the casino. Mind your own business.
I didn't say
that. That's what you said yesterday. Again, you were giving me crap. I get that from enough people I know already, including. Can you imagine if my mother were still alive?
Yeah, no. I said I hope you do.
You hope I lose all my money?
I hope you lose all your money.
Then when I croak, what am I going to leave for you? And by the way, I'm not leaving either one of you anything.
I know. So what do I
better hope you squeeze whatever you can out of me now while I'm still working, because once I'm out of here, I thank you very much. Thanks for the memories, but bye-bye.
Remember, you're worth more alive than dead to someone.
You, yeah. Oh, yeah, because you're always talking about Rimmer and people like that, about Klingons,
Mm-hmm.
Although at least you contribute something. Josh, of course, does it, but reluctantly. He pretends he doesn't want it. No, he's all right. He just doesn't want it. He just doesn't want to be overburdened. I can understand that. He's a young guy, wants to go out and get drunk and get laid every night and go home to his ugly old roommate. They do sleep in the same bed, though. Oh, and also I discovered, and I knew it, NHL players on the road have roommates. They sleep in a 2-to-a-room.
Yeah.
Josh, now which one of you? I guess it was Josh, because you don't know nothing about sports anyway. He was giving me crap about, oh, no, professional athletes don't share rooms on. Of course they do. What is wrong with you, man?
Well, remember, we got a call about that, and it was hockey that did that. A lot of other sports don't do that.
Well, what difference does it make? They don't sleep in the same bed, and they sleep in the same room in different beds. They're not doing each other necessarily, although some of them probably might be, and that's just the way it is. Since you're so uptight about that, and for a guy that's your age that's got a male roommate, the second one now, again...
What do you mean? People my age have roommates.
Get out of here.
Oh, really? Everybody's
you
all sad at 23?
Your age that's got a male roommate, and I'll show you yourself.
Remember, he works in radio.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's another factor.
Yeah, he can't afford to be living in a nice, posh place by himself. How did that collection go yesterday on the corner there by Chuck Subcenter? Not so good, huh?
I got about 50 cents.
Take a thimble out there on the stand on the street and see this generous audience of ours who are so full of crap. Look at that. 50.3%, they're completely open-minded. We love everybody. We don't care about blacks or Hispanics or, or fags. Right. Oh, look at that. It's 10:27. See, I'm doing my break based on the Cuban time. I don't know what the hell's going on with this. Doesn't that strike you as being a little bit peculiar?
Well, Eric says they don't use the atomic clock or anything like that.
Get out of here. Companies. The clock has always been right in sync, man. Right on top. Right in sync. Always the right...
Bye.
In sync.
Maybe they haven't calibrated it lately.
Get out of town, man. They just had to do it over the weekend when we changed it, when we switched the clock back.
It's arbitrary. They don't use the atomic clock.
I don't know about you, but I'm not really all that pleased that it gets dark so early now. I don't like that. I hate standard time.
Just pick a time and stick with it. I don't want changing.
Okay, it's 1:48.
See ya.
Yeah, what are we going to do about those rejoins? I know I've told them that before, but they won't listen to me. No, sir, they're too long. Too long.
This is what
Why can't we
want
just
to
say
hear.
the Kenny and Bo Morning Show, 7 to 10 weekdays on QM? Why can't we just say that? That takes 5 seconds instead of these long, ponderous rejoins that go on, and most of them aren't very entertaining or amusing. It's like a contest. It's like an endurance contest. How much of this crap can you endure before you finally shut the radio off or change the station?
You just don't understand that that's what people want to hear.
What, is a bunch of sports nerd crap?
Yeah, and not just on the original show, but repeated again throughout the day.
You don't shut up. It's going to be 10:30 already. I'm going to do 2 breaks back-to-back like the Dean used to do, Alan Burke.
Yeah, that ain't going to bother me.
Experience the difference at Mercedes-Benz of Pompano, and don't forget, at Mercedes-Benz of Pompano, it doesn't matter what time of the month or what day of the year it is when you buy a vehicle, because you always get the same fabulous deal. Whether it's one of the brand new 2007 Mercedes-Benz luxury sedans, the 2007 GL class, the first Mercedes-Benz full-size SUV, or their large selection of great certified pre-owned cars, you always get an unbeatable deal. When you choose Mercedes-Benz of Pompano, there are over 200 employees working their brains off dedicated to providing you incomparable service, offering you express lube, courtesy vehicles, and complimentary car wash, too. Make an appointment through the Business Development Center. You can even earn dealer miles just like frequent flyer miles. Browse Mercedes-Benz at Pompano's Indoor Expo with over 150 new and pre-owned vehicles, or go to BenzPompano.com, B-E-N-Z, BenzPompano.com on the Wicked Web. Experience the difference at Mercedes-Benz at Pompano. You'll find them at I-95 and Copans Road. Call 1-800-NEW-BENZ, N-E-W-B-E-N-Z. That's 1-800-NEW-BENZ for Mercedes-Benz at Pompano. Trust me when I tell you, a Mercedes-Benz dealer like no other you'll be ever seeing.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Don't believe it!
And yet you admitted that there were these CIA secret facilities.
So what? Why is that not within the law?
The head of Amnesty International says secret sites are against international law.
Well, we just disagree with him. And plus, my job is to protect you. And most American people, if I said that we had who we think is the mastermind of the 9/11, they would say, why don't you see if you can't get information out of him without torturing him, which is what we did. I have the obligation to make sure that our professionals, who I would ask to go, conduct interrogations to find out what might be happening, who might be coming to this country. I've got to give them the tools they need, and that is clear law.
This is an important point, and I think
the point I just made is the most important point. Okay. And that is the program is not going forward. David, you can give a hypothetical about North Korea or any other country. The point is that the program is not going to go forward if our professionals do not have clarity in the law, and the best way to provide clarity in the law is to make sure the Detainee Treatment Act is the crux of the law. That's how we define Common Article 3, and it sets a good standard for the countries that you just talked about. Next man.
Common Article 3 says that there will be no outrages upon human dignity. It's very vague. What does that mean? Outrages upon human dignity. What does that mean?
Yeah, what the hell does that mean? It's 10:34. Look at that. Actually, they finally put the Eastern Daylight Standard Time on CNN on the bottom right of the screen. Because just moments ago they said 7:33, whatever.
Eric says his cable company clock is always off.
Well, mine never is off, okay? I've been doing shows in the studio for almost 5 years now, and it's never been off. It's right on. You could set your life on it, okay? You could hook your ass up to it. I beg your pardon?
That doesn't mean it won't be.
It won't be what?
Off.
Oh, wait a minute. Now it's back on again.
I see.
Oh, no, it just switched over to 10:35 on CNN. Well, what the hell does CNN know anyway, okay? Are they on the atomic clock?
My watch is the atomic clock.
Yeah, watch this.
It's a satellite calibrated.
City Pulse says it's 10:35:13, and my cable box still says 10:34. I'm staying on City Pulse. You watch CNN, that boring crap. I don't want to watch that garbage.
Spanish soap operas. What are you talking about?
Get out of here with that telenovela. Yeah, with the naked chicks. I'll put Playboy TV on the audio if you don't watch it.
Oh, yeah, dare you.
Hitting that dump button every 2 seconds.
Double dog dare you.
938 votes. Do you consider yourself completely open-minded? 477. 50.8%. You are so full of it, man. I never met any of that part of our audience or anybody else. I don't know such people. Do you?
No.
I already asked you that. Prejudice, 314. Everybody's got prejudices. Even if you don't like people with red hair, for example. See, most people wouldn't consider that to be a prejudice. It's it's just a thing. Right. It's just part of your emotional makeup, your mental outlook.
Fat people, Southerners,
fat
things
people,
like that.
that's right. Rednecks, yahoos drooling yahoos with their puppets hanging out, silly-ass screaming queens with clone mustaches, things like that. People with silly white hair and dark phony suntans like Charlie Crist. Prejudice 314. That's a little bit better, a little more honest now. I hate this poll, 75, 7.9%. A lot of hate going around. Of course, it's Florida. Racist, 47, and a total bigot, 25. I shouldn't have voted for that. I mean, compared to the average Joe out there in the street, I'm about as broad-minded as you can get.
Right.
And I'm a bigot. And I'm, see, people just lie. Just like that poll we had the other day about men lying. Almost all our audience is men, and they lie a lot. Not all men, just most of them. They lie through their teeth. Oh, yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with, fill in the blank. Just like that stupid fax I got about Tenafly in Englewood, New Jersey. Remember that? About the people from Asia, India, etc. Just like Toronto. Just a dig, The sun is shining, man. It's a beautiful day here. Of course, it's only 38 degrees, but that's beside the point. What's wrong with a little chill in the air, right?
Right.
No snow yet. Although looking at the forecast, looks like some flurries overnight. That don't look too promising. But nevertheless, it's called the change of season, and you know what that is? That's a great rationalization. Oh, I enjoy the change of season. You enjoy it your ass, okay? That's just another lie. It's like saying I enjoy when it's freezing cold and I'm slipping in the ice and falling and almost breaking my neck and trying to drive through 2 feet of snow. Nobody enjoys that, but they give you that line. It's a rationalization because nothing is perfect. No place is perfect, right?
Right.
Oh, look at that line of crap coming, man. There's some snow around. Not here, though. Wouldn't surprise me if most of it dumps on Depew. Maryland is on track to repeat the chaos of the 2000 election in Florida. Even without butterfly ballots and hanging chads, Maryland faces several elections-related problems that threaten the accuracy and promptness of next Tuesday's results. Oh, boy, here we go again. Uncertainty looms about that state's electronic voter rolls, the number of training of poll workers, and anticipated challenges in the aftermath of Election Day. I am very concerned, said U.S. Representative Elijah E. Cummings, Maryland Democrat. I don't want anything to undermine this democracy. The security and reliability of the state's electronic voting machines have been questioned for months, and the machine's performance in September's primaries have reinforced doubts about Tuesday's voting. We're setting ourselves up to become another Florida. How can you have confidence in the outcome of the election, said the Reverend Bobby Henry, an attorney and associate minister at Jericho City of Praise in Landover. Oh, boy. Have we gotten these voting machines fixed or what? According to a recent study by Princeton University, Diebold Election System makes electronic voting machines, which are being used in Maryland and other states, are vulnerable to a number of extremely serious attacks that undermine the accuracy and credibility of the vote count it produces. The Princeton report echoes the findings of several other studies that have found the machines vulnerable to hackers and viruses. 2 weeks ago, a 2004 version of the computer code used in Diebold's machines was mailed anonymously to a former delegate. Many officials have railed against the machine's lack of paper trail to verify votes. They're raging against the machine, man. The Democrat-controlled legislature this year killed a bill that would have set up machines to scan paper ballots. In September's primary elections, faulty electronic voting machines, some of which rebooted continually after 40 votes had been cast, caused extensive delays, and lots of voters were turned away from the polls. And I'm assuming especially the darker their skin was, the greater the likelihood they get turned away from the polls. Wouldn't you say?
I imagine.
In fact, if it's up to Bush and his Bushites, I think probably let's bring back the poll tax before next Tuesday. It's going to cost you $1,000 to vote. Cold cash. No credit cards, sorry. No food stamps. Cash.
Oh,
you don't got $1,000 cash? I beg your pardon?
No food stamps.
That counts both of you guys out.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Of course, probably Josh ain't going to vote anyway. Are you?
No.
Bastard. What a weasel, man. What if Charlie Christ, by the way, the latest Florida poll shows he's back up 6 points again over Jim Davis. You know, that's Charlie Christ. You're a hypocrite, phony, baloney, in the closet next governor. You know, why should it be any different? We're used to that, aren't we, to having a phony, baloney, fat-ass, dysfunctional governor like the Jebster, who still remains so wildly popular in Florida because there's so many stupid people there, I guess. Mm-hmm. 10:40 is our QAM jockstrap time.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Station that brought you Dead Celebrity Concerts. 560 WQAM in Miami presents your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to Collier City, Florida. Yes, and none other than prestigious Pompano, along the winding glen of Powerline Road. It's the land of pastel purple and sea-grade greenhouses, named for the congenial game show moderator, Bud Collier. You'll stay in the luxurious half of what remains of the Days Inn, conveniently located off the turnpike, where you can relax and sip a Mickey's Big Mouth at the edge of an exit ramp retainer pond. But wait, there's more. Winners will receive a $100 shopping spree at the abandoned Jeffersons on Hollywood Boulevard. All you have to do to enter is write a 560-page thesis on the correlation between sports fanatics and blatant homosexuality. And if you can make our program director hear this sound, then you win an all-expense-paid trip to paradise. Another bogus offer from the misguided management of W.
Got some exciting news for you. My clock is back. I don't know how the hell that happened.
Okay.
Must have automatically readjusted or something.
They finally decided to set it.
You think?
Yeah.
Get out of here. You're knocking my cable people. Their name is Rogers, by the way, so just beware.
All right.
They're the best. 10:45 is our QAM accurate time for those who are keeping track, as if, Don't forget we got news headlines at the top of the hour. Not. Women in central Zimbabwe are selling sex to truck drivers for fuel, reporters said today.
How much?
They say it's more than you got. They say it's more profitable than being paid in cash. Police spokesman Costa Tadua told the Daily Mirror, which is private but mainly pro-government newspaper, in Harare. It's a long way to tip Harare. It said the young women from Midlands province were soliciting truck drivers on the busy highway between Harare and Beitbridge, the border post with South Africa. It's really alarming that young women are exchanging sex for 20-liter containers of diesel or petrol, said Tadua. I wonder if there's any diesel bikes.
Cute.
Fuel has been in short supply in Zimbabwe on and off for several years now, and there's a lucrative black market. I wonder if that's a play on words or just, The government has set the price of fuel at just over $1.20 a liter. That's like about $5 a gallon almost. But it sells on the streets in privately run service stations for up to $8 a liter. Oh, brother, U.S. Sexually transmitted infections were increasing in the area, the acting matron of a local hospital confirmed. I can't imagine why. Every day we treat different cases, and we are seriously worried about this. She said about 3,000 people die from HIV/AIDS in Zimbabwe each and every week. 3,000 a week. But who cares about that? Because it's Africa, right? And they're dark people, and that's why the rest of the world don't care. All this business about, well, Darfur, they were like, well, nobody cares,
Right.
Just the way the world is, a bunch of bigoted bastards. If it was white people dying like flies there, they probably still wouldn't care.
No, I wouldn't care.
Wouldn't you? What
on the other side of the world, who gives a crap?
Yeah, we got our own fish to fry.
That's
you know
right.
What I'm saying? Iran has announced, I started doing this a half an hour ago, and then I stopped. You interrupted me with some crap about my time being wrong.
Okay.
No, what are we going to do about those damn rejoins?
We're going to savor every precious second of them.
No, I think I brought that. I don't know if I brought it to Joe Bell's attention or certainly his predecessor, but they don't care, you know. Oh, now you're working like Bob Green used to say. Now you're getting involved in the minutia, you know, like anything that has to do with length of listenership and the product we put on the air. That would be like telling the sales department that we should like really service the accounts, you know. See, there he goes, making trouble again.
The longer the rejoins are, the lower your numbers will be because it's diluting the show, and
people
that makes
don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. And I like all the people on the rejoins. I like them all. I just don't want to hear half of their show all over again. You know, that thing yesterday at the end of the show, and I'm sitting here and I'm doing my best to try to figure out, back timing so we get out of here almost precisely. Speaking of getting the time right at 2 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, here comes on this rejoin, and the Mad Dog is going bop 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 beep 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 bop 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 bop.
Yeah.
About coaches who are already dead, stuff that nobody cares about anymore, and it just goes on and on. It's like Clarence's way of infiltrating our show with as much sports swill as he possibly can.
Right.
He needs to be taken out.
Don't you understand? It'll bring more people to sports.
Just like a dog that's got wild diarrhea, he needs to be taken out. Put his ass on a leash and take him out now, and leave him out. God, what an idiot. Iran has announced it'll carry out war games in the Persian Gulf just days after 6 other nations, including the U.S., held a series of exercises in the same area. Iranian state TV said the military maneuvers named Great Prophet 2 would take place in the Gulf and Sea of Oman starting today. They're probably doing it right now.
Oh, man.
Exercising.
Oman.
The war games are aimed at demonstrating the deterrent power of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards against possible threats. General Yahya Rahim Safavi, commander of the Revolutionary Guards, was quoted as saying. Safavi stressed that the drills were not a threat to Iran's neighboring countries, saying, "Our neighbors are our friends. The Guards just want to prove that they're ready to resist in any threatening situation." The announcement came 2 days after. I wonder if there are any rednecks in the Middle Eastern countries, you think?
I'm sure they have their equivalences.
Their what?
Equivalences.
The announcement came 2 days after U.S.-led warships finished 2 days of exercises in the Gulf, which were described by Iran as adventurous. Australia, Bahrain, Britain, France, Italy, and the U.S. would not improve security in the waters of the Gulf, through which about 20% of the world's oil passes. It also called on Gulf nations to set up their own regional security arrangements. The U.S.-led maneuvers focused on surveillance, with warships tracking a ship suspected of carrying components of illegal weapons. Safavi also told state TV that the Iranian exercises... See, this is the thing that is so amusing, although, when you're American, you're just not supposed to view things that way, since we're all, ethnocentric and whatever. But if we have them, then there's no such thing as illegal weapons. But if other countries designated by us have certain kind of weapons, depending on what country it is, like Israel, then it's okay. But if it's like one of the raghead countries, and of course, that being the case, I can't even imagine one of the many reasons why they hate us like poison.
Well, because we're good, our friends are
That's
good,
right.
and everybody else is bad.
We would never harm any innocent people. Just look at Iraq.
Sure.
We would never get involved in this military adventurism and attack countries that have represent no threat to us.
Right, without provocation, we would never do that. So
981 votes on the poll. Boy, it'd be a hell of a feather in your cap if you got to 1,000 by the top of the hour. What time did you change the poll, by the way?
5:30-ish.
5:30-ish. That's not bad. If you had changed it around 5, we'd have over 1,000 votes by now, but that's all right. I was struggling all afternoon, all evening to get my money back, and I damn near did. Twice. Was losing my ass and left there not losing too much, and I felt like I won $1 million. That's part of the psychology of gambling, When you're losing your ass and you get a good chunk of it back and you damn near break even, or if you actually do break even, you walk out and felt, I just won $10 million. And speaking of that, the lotto here on Saturday, there was no winner last night. I only got $25. The lotto was $24 million on Saturday. Now, if you were me, wouldn't you play that heavy duty? If you were a big shot like me,
well, if I was you, yeah, absolutely. I would spend all my money.
Now, there's only 14 million combinations, so if you wanted to be really clever, you could go into the store and say, just wheel it. Give me every combination for $1. So that's $14 million, and the jackpot's $24 million. And you think, boy, I'm going to make $10 million. But then come to find out there are like 4 winners. So you get $6 million back, and you just spent $14 million. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not a good idea. Fearful of damaging his own party in next week's elections, John Kerry apologized yesterday to any service member, family member, or American offended by remarks deemed by Republicans and Democrats to be insulting U.S. forces in Iraq. This is what the Republicans have got to run with now, is John Kerry as a buffoon, as if we didn't already know that. And they took his words and they twisted them around, and, 6 days before the election, the Democrat 2004 presidential nominee said he wanted to avoid becoming a distraction in the final days of the battle for control of Congress. He added he sincerely regretted that his words were misinterpreted to apply anything negative about those in uniform. It's kind of like the war in Iraq. Remember, he was against it before he was for it? No, he was for it before he was against it. Right. In a brief statement, Kerry attacked President Bush for a failed security policy, yet his apology, issued after prominent Democrats had urged him to cancel public appearances, was just stay the hell away, Kerry, okay? Was designed to quell a controversy that party leaders feared would stall their drive for big gains on Tuesday. With polls showing the public opposed to the war in Iraq, Democrats have expressed increasing optimism in recent days that they'll gain those 15 seats they need to win control of the House and pick up the 6 seats to win the Senate. A bigger challenge, but they got a shot. For the Democratic Senatorial Committee, that meant pumping about $1 million into an Arizona race, long thought out of reach, but now they got a shot. For the counterpart Republican Committee, it meant a foray into Maryland, also viewed as an unlikely state where they'll pick up a seat. Kind of interesting, though, in Maryland, their Senate candidate is black Republican, Steele, and they got those bumper stickers out, Steele, Democrat. Not that they're assuming that the black voters in Maryland are stupid and going to really believe that just because Steele is a black man, he automatically is a Democrat, they're going to vote for him as a result. You see what they're trying to do? Mm-hmm. They lie a lot, you know. Kerry beat a grudging retreat in his return to the national campaign spotlight. Earlier on the radio program, Imus in the Morning is so boring, the Massachusetts senator said he was sorry about his botched joke about Bush. Bada-beep, bada-boop, bada-bum. Democrats cringed, though, at the prospect of the Massachusetts senator becoming the face of the party for the second consecutive national campaign. No one wants to have the 2004 election replayed, said Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton, like Kerry, a potential contender for the 2008 nomination, and she also must be dancing on his grave. She must be saying, boy, if you think I'm ugly, wait till you see Teresa again, hopping around like she's on, whatever, doggy uppers. I mean, anybody who didn't notice that she was, like, constantly medicated during that 2004 campaign, Teresa Heinz Kerry,
here,
pretty scary.
When you got the money I got, I can eat whatever I want.
She was just crazy person. No wonder he acts like that, Herman Munster. In fact, one of the web stories refers to him as Herman Munster. But nevertheless, I got some great news in my next piece here. I got a piece about Katie Couric, okay? She is really doing it. No.
Stupid bitch.
Isn't that great? No, It's not stupid bitch, stupid CBS. How stupid is she? She's making how much? $80 trillion a year for that crap? For going on there and coming in a distant third? God almighty, that would be like signing the Dolphins for $1 trillion, and then they wind up losing almost every game, and you lose your ass on it every year. It's a good thing for those schmucks across the street that we're losing their ass on the Marlins every year to kind of like balance it out, although not nearly as much, I'm sure, as they're losing on the fish, on the rotten, ugly, stinking fish. I ought to play that Buffalo Bills song, you know what? Haven't played it in a long time.
Are you sure?
Because they're really pretty weak, to say the best. 995 votes. We're going to have our 1,000 votes by 11 o'clock, no matter which clock you're looking at, mister. And thank God to my close personal friends at Rogers Cable for getting this clock fixed. I wouldn't be surprised if I had something to do with it, wouldn't you think?
They've been listening.
Yeah, right. Everybody's listening. The whole world, the whole universe is listening, even on Uranus.
The biggest names of best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
This is the Neil Rogers Show. This is your brain. Any questions?
No.
Soda and shampoo and coffee and water, gel candles and teething rings for your daughter. Dump out that duty-free case of champagne. These are the things you can't take on a plane. Cheese whiz and hair gel and lip balm and toothpaste. Clear as silk for all of those bits on your face. You have that sunburn but no solar cane. That's one more thing you can't take on a plane. At the airport you'll be waiting. It may seem insane while they make you throw out all of those things you cannot take on a plane.
Like body wash, I'll bet you. That's a liquid, huh? Can't be taking no body wash on there. How about your soap? Probably afraid you're going to drop it right there in the middle of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And you know those flight attendants, especially the male flight attendants on planes.
Gay.
Anyway, we got 1,007 votes on the poll, and I still say most of you are liars. Now, maybe these people are thinking, well, this is like relative to the majority of people out there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow that?
I'm following.
Well, I'm trying to rationalize why they're voting like this, other than the only possibility being that they lie like crazy or they're in denial.
Both of those.
Because I've discovered over the years that most people are in denial of being in any way bigoted, because it's got a nasty, ugly connotation. And since I'm nasty and ugly, it doesn't bother me in the least bit. Do you consider yourself completely open-minded? 507, 50.3%. Is anybody buying that, huh? No. There's about as much chance of anybody buying that as there is of rumor buying you the next 10 years' dinners. Prejudice, 339. 33.6%, a third of this audience consider themselves prejuiced. I hate this pool, 83, 8.2%. Well, too bad. Racist, 48, and a total bigot. Look at how many on that.
About 30, man.
Which I think, there aren't too many total Archie Bunkers out there, but I think that the average person is closer to being, prejudiced or a total bigot than they are to having, being completely open-minded. Who the hell is completely open-minded?
People who were raised in a bubble.
Yeah, people raised in a cocoon somewhere. People who don't get out of the house much. Because all you have to do is start meeting a whole bunch of people and you say, oh, wait a minute, I'm not quite as open-minded as I thought I was. What's that smell? Now, seriously, the body wash thing, you know what I'm going to do? They won't let me take it in, though. I've got to bring a case of body wash to Woodbine. And just have it sitting there at my feet, and you know what I'm going to do? They won't let me take it in, though. I've got to bring a case of body wash to Woodbine. And just have it sitting there at my feet, and if any smelly old Europeans come around, just hand them a bottle, okay? They'll take it if it's for free. They'll take anything. Probably try to sell it out in the lobby. Here's some great news, okay? We don't just bring you the bad news, the depressing, the morbid news. We bring you the good news. Despite her news-making interview with Michael J. Fox last week, Katie Couric's goal of taking the CBS Evening News to the top is getting further out of reach. They thought she'd take it to the top, and instead it's a flop. Her average audience is 7.3 million viewers left the CBS Evening News, 1.1 million behind ABC's second-place World News. It was the biggest gap between the two broadcasts since the week of February 6th, according to Nielsen. NBC's Nightly News led the way with 8.9 million viewers last week. And, of course, always being there in the cutting edge, I watch Nightly News every night with Brian Williams. I can't stand that booth announcer they got, who obviously is union, who does the open to it. Mm-hmm. That guy who sounds like he's 100 years old with that kind of screwy voice. He sounds like Ben Grauer on acid. That's for Chicken Neck. I bet he remembers Ben Grauer. Who? Couric scored the attention-getting interview with Fox on Thursday after he was criticized by Rush Limbaugh for supposedly playing up symptoms of Parkinson's disease in the campaign ad, but it caused no appreciable jump. Thursday's broadcast had 7.4 million viewers, usually 7.3, so what's the point? CBS and Couric have tried some new things with the evening newscast, including longer interviews and a free speech segment where guests offer opinions. In light of the crappy ratings, they'll likely face pressure to head to a more traditional format. Couric's average of 7.3 million was identical to Bob Schieffer-anchored newscast during the same week ago, Nielsen said. The same week a year ago. Fuddy-duddy. And really cruddy. However, ABC and NBC were down from a year ago. CBS has pointed to that movement, and its own broadcast improvement among younger demographics had proof that progress is being made. Rome wasn't built in a day, neither will CBS Evening News, Couric told USA Today this week. It's a process, and being in the middle of a process, while it's sometimes challenging, can be frustrating. That's really, in many ways, the fun part. The fact that she sucks and don't belong on there, nobody wants to really say that, because that would be bad. That would be an insult.
Yeah, who would say such a thing?
Bastards like us who want to tell the truth, with Bud Collier. The news is better for CBS in prime time, where it won again. All three versions of the CSI franchise finished among Nielsen's top 10 shows, as did the strong sophomore series Criminal Minds. Oh, that must be about our sales department. None of the World Series games on Fox between St. Louis and Detroit, the lowest series ever rated, managed to crack the top 10 last week. Isn't that embarrassing? Wow. The World Series. Once upon a time in America, everything stood still when the World Series was on.
Really?
I remember running out of school there at 2 o'clock, being home by 2:05. I lived right down the block. And rushing in there, turn on the TV, make sure the Yankees won the series again. Goes to show you how dumb you are when you were a kid. I wanted the Yankees to win. Goes to show how things change. Scandals alone could cost Republicans their House majority, writes the Washington Post. Indictments, investigations, and allegations of wrongdoing, evildoing, have helped put at least 15 Republican House seats in jeopardy, enough to swing control of the Democrats Tuesday, even before the larger issues of war, economic unease, and President Bush are invoked. Too much hanky-spanky. With just 5 days left before Election Day, allegations are springing up like brush fires, it says. 4 GOP House seats have been tarred by lobbyist Jack Abramoff's influence peddling scandal. 5 have been adversely affected by then-Representative Mark Foley's unseemly contacts with teenage male House pages. Unseemly my ass.
That's what I heard.
The remaining half a dozen or so could turn on controversies including offshore tax dodging, sexual misconduct, and shady land deals. Not since the House bank check-kiting scandal of the early 90s have so many seats been affected by scandals, and not since the Abscam bribery cases of the 70s have the charges been so serious. But this year's combination of breadth and severity may be unprecedented, suggested Julian E. Selizer, a congressional historian at Boston University. Now there's a city. There's a city both of you would enjoy living in. I wouldn't mind going back living there again myself. Boston. Only problem is I'd weigh 600 pounds. I'd be dead in 6 months from overeating. So much good food and so little time. Never been in Boston?
No.
Really? How about you, Josh?
No.
Oh, my God. No wonder you both sound so sour today.
Maybe we should go.
You know, the biggest problem with Boston, though, as far as South Florida is concerned, too many young people, too many living and breathing people. You know, all those universities and colleges.
Oh, yeah.
That must be horrible.
I can see how that would be a problem.
All those living and breathing people under the age of 100. All that great food, all that, I don't know. Republican-controlled Washington. What am I reading here? I'm in the middle of a sentence. Republican campaign officials insist the theme has not caught on with the public, but even they concede that many individual races have been hit hard. They've been hit hard. So many different kinds of scandals going on at the same time. That's pretty unique, Zelizer said. There were scandals throughout the 70s, multiple scandals, but the number of stories now are almost overwhelming. So many crooks in so little time. At least 9 Republican seats have been affected by the scandals and are highly vulnerable to Democratic takeover next Tuesday. Foley's abrupt resignation has jeopardized the Florida House district that had been on no one's radar screen. Under indictment and amid a swirl of ethics investigations, former House Majority Leader Tom DeLay of Texas resigned from Congress earlier this year, forcing Republicans to mount a long-shot write-in campaign for the chosen candidate. Representative Robert Ney's guilty plea last month on corruption charges still hangs over the Ohio campaign of his would-be Republican successor, Jay Padgett, she's got no chance, especially because Ney has still not resigned from Congress. The GOP has all but abandoned longtime Representative Kurt Weldon of Pennsylvania as federal investigators examined charges that he steered lobbying contracts to his daughter. He went on television yesterday with an ad featuring actors pleading, would you give a friend the benefit of the doubt? Today, Kurt Weldon needs our support. Would you give a friend the benefit of the doubt if he was a major crook? No. Republicans' campaign strategists also fear they've lost the seat of Representative Don Sherwood of Pennsylvania, who's been dogged by the settlement of a lawsuit filed by a mistress who charged that Sherwood had throttled her. He throttled his mistress, and that's why your president went to campaign with him. That's probably the main reason they were covering up the Foley scandal. They wanted to keep that Republican seat nice and secure in Florida. That's what it was all about, the big cover-up.
Yeah.
They put a blanket over it. Under the blanket was Foley with a bunch of 16-year-old boys, naked. Congress watchers once saw the swing seat of Representative Rick Renzi, Republican of Arizona, as a missed opportunity for Democrats. But now as the U.S. Attorney's Office in Phoenix examines his role in a land deal for a business partner and a political benefactor, Renzi's race with political neophyte Ellen Salmon has tightened. It's tight. She's not, but it is. Farther west, Representative John Porter, Republican of Nevada, has had to contend with charges lodged last month by a longtime former aide, Jim Shepard, that the lawmaker made dozens of illegal fundraising calls from his congressional offices and 2 reliably Republican districts in California under assault by Democrats. Representative Richard W. Pombo and John T. Doolittle, what a great name for a politician, have been linked to Abramoff, the lobbyist who pleaded guilty in January to fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy to bribe public officials. Beyond those 9 jeopardized GOP seats, 4 other Republicans have been tainted by the Foley Page scandal, and it goes on and on and on. All the crooks that money can buy, and they do, and they're in. 1,033 votes on that poll, and a full 50.4%. It's going up. Consider themselves completely open-minded. Thank God for our progressive, free-thinking, liberal, open-minded audience. They love everybody, right?
That's right.
That's why there's never any hate in these poll results. Bah! We don't get any of that. That's the surly crowd. That's the Sunrise Lakes Tamarack crowd.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 AM.
Hey, boys and girls, it's me, Terrell Owens. It's time for T.O.'s Fair Tale. Here's one of my favorites. Little Jack Horner sat in a corner. Wide open all day long, single coverage, and Drew Bledsoe can't even get the ball to him. I'm open, man, I'm open!
Wait, that's not how little Jack Horner goes.
Well, that's because they T.O.'s Fair Tale. Here's another one. Simple Simon met a pieman who couldn't cover the taller, stronger, more athletic Terrell Owens. Nobody can cover me, not even Champ Bailey.
Who's Champ Bailey?
Damn right. Who do you think he is? Who's Champ Bailey? Who do you think he is?
T.O., you're scaring me.
Check this one out. Little Miss Muppet sat on the tuffet, bored off her ass because Bill Parcells wants to run the ball all game. Folks don't come to the stadium to see that. They want to see T.O. run the post pattern to the end zone and score a touchdown. Shut up. Here's a short one. Bye-bye, black sheep. I want to be traded. Number 81 is out of here. I don't need y'all. I don't want y'all. I'm out, man.
That guy's a head case.
No, he's not. 11:16 at 560 WQM. Arvid Purinen. You know who he is, Josh?
No.
He's a tennis player for Virginia Tech.
Oh, him.
We haven't got any idea who that is. Well, I'm rooting for Virginia Tech against the Hurricanes this weekend. I was kind of hoping that Larry Cokehead wouldn't get fired. I really don't care as long as they lose every game. But now that I've seen that picture of Arvid Purinen, you know me, I'm a sucker for a pretty face, and as a result, he could play on my team. Although he's not on the football team. Tennis players generally don't play football, huh? Tennis players are generally a little more wussified. You know what I'm saying? They're not like real jocks. They're not like into contact sports, unless maybe with each other. Arvid Purinen, what kind of a name is that? Huh?
I don't know.
Anyway, he looks good, so I'm for Virginia Tech. As if I need an excuse. Do you think I need an excuse to root against the Hurricanes? No.
Well, where did that come from? Who is that guy?
Why? You want to see his picture?
No, I'm just saying. Like, how do you?
You want to take a look? You want to take a look at him?
How do you come up with some tennis
Maybe you'd like to move in with you and your roommate.
It has to do with the story he's about to read.
No, it does not. It hasn't got anything to do with any story. I didn't know when the game was. Okay, is it Saturday, I would assume?
It's Saturday.
In fact, if I looked at the schedule, I'm so stupid, man. Don't you have to agree, but if I looked at our Saturday schedule, which I have to turn the page, Hurricanes game day is at 5, and the game is at 8 o'clock, UM and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's going to kick their ass. So I Googled Virginia Tech. You can go ahead and do it right now.
I'm all set.
What, you got it?
I know when the game is.
No, I'm not talking about that. Google Virginia Tech.
I'm good with Army tennis player.
Arvid Purinen.
Right. I'm okay.
ARVID. Google it. See, he doesn't have the balls to Google it now.
Why?
You don't ask me. Ask him. I don't know. He's afraid that he might be smitten. I don't know what the deal is.
Arvid Purinen? Sounds like something you put on your feet.
Exactly. Sounds like some kind of a product.
Powder, yeah.
Something you put on your feet.
I used to have athlete's foot, but ever since I found
ARVID. Will you just Google it, okay? ARVID. PURANEN. Purinen. You got it?
We're doing it.
And it says Hokie Sports Men's Tennis. And there's his picture right there. I mean, he ain't, no Tom Brady. He ain't no Brady Quinn. He's just kind of a good-looking young man. And if they got a good-looking young man going to school there, just one of them, that's all it takes to turn me against the Hurricanes. It's just, I don't know. It's just a silly thing, okay? And you're making a big issue out of it. Who is he? And where? Did you look at it, Josh? You see it?
I don't even know.
It's not coming.
Get out of there. He can't find it. Yeah,
spell it again, I guess.
ARVID. See, every fag in the audience now is Googling this, okay?
Well, then I'm not going to.
He's got his clothes on. PURANEN. Arvid Purinen. I don't know how you say his name. Puranus. I wonder if he uses body wash. Now, that whole thing with soap, man, every time I shower now, I can't stop thinking about that. What kind of a person would continue using soap? It would be like people that use, what did they used to use before they had like Tide and Sheer? What kind of detergent? I'm asking you guys, and I'm older than Methuselah.
They used the old rock by the side of the river.
I guess. It would be like using that instead of regular detergent. What have you checked out Arvid yet? Can he play on our team?
I Googled it. I'm trying to go to a website.
Nothing, I'm not getting anything except tennis results.
Yeah, get lost. An Ethiopian immigrant was convicted yesterday of the genital remember we had the story, genital mutilation of his 2-year-old daughter?
Right.
Khalid Adem. He's weeping on the witness stand. He's weeping. He's got a hanky to his eye. Maybe he's got a sty. Genital mutilation of his 2-year-old daughter was sentenced to 10 years in prison of what was believed to be the first such criminal case in the USA. Khalid Adem, 30.
About 30, man.
Was found guilty of aggravated battery and cruelty to children. What if he stole Sally Fitz's batteries? Prosecutor said he used scissors to remove his daughter's clitoris in his family's Atlanta area apartment in 2001. The child's mother, Fortunate Adem, said she did not discover it till more than a year later. I guess it's a good thing the daughter's name isn't Fortunate.
It's unfortunate.
Unfortunate, yeah. Adem, who had no criminal record, could have been sentenced up to 40 years in prison. He held his face in his hands and wept loudly after the jury's verdict was read. Why did he weep? During her father's trial, the girl, now 7, clutched a teddy bear as she testified on videotape that her father cut me on my private part. Federal law specifically bans the practice of genital mutilation, but many states don't have a law addressing it. Well, wouldn't that also include, like, male circumcision? Wouldn't that be the same, genital mutilation?
Well, maybe that's why they don't have any laws addressing it.
Georgia lawmakers, with the support of the girl's mother, passed an anti-mutilation law last year. What about Arvid Purinen? You think he's circumspect?
Who?
But Adam was not tried under that law since it didn't exist when his daughter was cut. During the trial, Adem testified he never circumcised his daughter or asked anyone else to do so. Maybe it was just like spontaneous mutilation. He said he grew up in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, and considers the practice more prevalent in rural areas. Adem's attorney acknowledged the girl's been cut, but implied that the family of the girl's mother, whom immigrated from South Africa, may have been responsible. The Adems divorced 3 years ago, and attorney Mark Hill suggested that the couple's daughter was coached to testify against her father by her mother, who has full custody of the child. What's this fax you just sent me here?
Just crap.
It says, John Kerry is paid off by the Republicans, always has been. Makes me want to barf. Go away far, John, and retire is what it says. Retire. Yeah, just go away for a few days till the dust settles. The cloud clears on Wednesday or Thursday, or 7 weeks from next Sukkot. Just go away, Kerry. The Adams, let's see. Adam, who cried throughout the trial and during his testimony, was asked what he thought of someone who believes in the practice. He replied, the word I can say is mind in the gutter. He is a moron, he said. Mind in the gutter is what he uttered. The practice crosses ethnic and cultural lines and is not tied to a particular religion. Activists say it's intended to deny women sexual pleasure. In the most extreme form, the clitoris and parts of the labia are removed and the labia that remain are stitched together. Since 2001, the State Department estimates that up to 130 million women worldwide have undergone circumcision. Knives, razors, even sharp stones are usually used. The tools frequently are not sterilized, which frequently leads to infection. It's unknown how many girls have died from the procedure, either during the cutting or from infections or years later in childbirth. And there you go. That's your civilized world for you. Bunch of barbarians running around. Bunch of lunatics. Jelly Belly's memo cost police chief his job. Oh, don't tell me we're going to have another one of those now.
Sounds like it.
This is not a practice one either.
Uh-oh.
You think this one is for real? What
Sounds
if we
like
have a fire in the building in the middle of the show?
Then you'll be flaming.
What is
more
that?
so.
What is this all about out of nowhere? Maybe they heard about the female mutilation. When we talked about candy the other day at great length, which is your fault and you shouldn't have done it, did we mention Jelly Bellies?
No.
Good. I don't even know what the hell that is. What is that? Oh, that's you being a jerk. Yeah, for a minute there, you got me. Idiot. What an idiot. My life could be at stake here, okay? The building may be,
right. Better start spending that money fast.
I'm shutting the door. I can't take no more of that. One moment, please. So bored out on these stupid fire alarms. Although maybe that guy's downstairs again.
What guy?
The one that was down there with the fire alarm a couple nights ago.
Oh, that guy.
I didn't forget him. See, you did. I didn't. Maybe he knows Adam Purinen.
Well, you can go check if you want.
Police Chief Paul Goward was tired of looking around his department and seeing blubber hanging over the belts of some of his officers, so he sent out a memo exhorting the Jelly Bellies to shape up. In the end, the department lost 190 pounds, all of them belonging to Goward. He was forced out as chief because some of his officers took offense at the memo. The October 11th memo bruised feelings on the 80-member force. This is in Winter Haven, Florida, by the way. Winter Haven. Drew at least one anonymous letter of complaint from officers about the chief's management style and made his department the butt of jokes about fat cops and donuts. If they got their feelings hurt to the extent of do something about it, then I did what I was intending to, said unapologetic Goward, a trim 6-footer who was forced to resign his $92,000 a year post last week. Some of the chief's defenders said his ouster was a big overreaction. He offered tremendously good advice, yet he was sacked, wrote Thomas Rowe Olt, a columnist for the Ledger of Lakeland. I bet you that was the Bird's favorite paper. In his memo, oh, wait a minute, they're going to make an announcement now. One moment, please, you're about to die. Yeah? Yeah, you got my attention. What's the story now? See, you're playing that so I can't hear it.
That's right. You're all going to die.
Shut up! It was accidental. Please return to what you were doing. Go back to your show and cut it out. I don't want to hear that stupid-ass music. If you don't go in there and punch him in the mouth, Josh, I'm going to be really disappointed in your manliness. Return to what you were doing, he says. What the hell does that mean? What about the poor bastards on the 85th floor, for crying out loud, who are like halfway down the stairs now? And they're still beeping the beep out there. That's the thing that gets me. Okay, it was accidental, so shut that baby off, you moron, you idiot.
Maybe this is accidental, too.
Yeah. In his memo titled, Are You a Jelly Belly?, the chief never singled anyone out, and apart from the title, didn't call anyone any names. Just a bunch of fat slobs. Instead, he provided a list of 10 reasons police officers should be in shape. He said overweight police poorly represent the profession, poop out when chasing suspects, and might have to resort to a high level of force if criminals got the upper hand in a fight. He said out-of-shape cops are a liability to the city and their families, and he happened to be absolutely correct. I mean, Cannon was a fun TV show if you like that kind of show, and you like fat old William Conrad, but, this idea of fat cops running around, huffing and puffing, that don't get the job done. You notice they quit the crap on that alarm now.
Finally.
I just have a feeling it's one of those days, man. I have a feeling I'm going to win that $24 million in the lotto on Saturday night. Now, so when you come in Monday morning, and you hear the sounds of silence, I would just keep checking your mail every day, several times a day. I'm not talking about your email. I mean, like your snail mail.
Okay.
Or maybe wait for a big FedEx,
All right.
With a big fat one for you and Josh.
All right.
Not a check now. Just a fat one.
The biggest names, the best
already have a fat one.
This is
I'm
Neil
sure you do.
Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Neil? Yeah. Well, I never thought I'd find the kind of ride that I've been tooling around in today. Now, it's a classic set of wheels fixed up the way a brother would like it. Now it's clean and shiny, and the trim is gold, and a tires under my seat. I got some can of liquid cherry, yo. Aw, baby. Coconut, granada, dairy, chariot, baby blue. Aw, baby. Shiny little velvet, little smelly machine took the suspension down, so I bounced down the road in a Pit Daddy Superfly. Now if the heart is stopped, no big deal. Someday I'll get around and fixing the brakes. A 1979 Bonbon Catalina. She's so looking fine now. It's my baby Cadillac. Aw, baby. Coconut, granada, cherry, chariot, baby blue. Aw, baby. Shiny little velvet, little smelly machine. Yo. I got my windows down on a hot summer day, 'cause the AC don't work no way. The sweaty crush all seed starts to smell and gets the tussy working overtime. Now on my back seat you'll find a shiny crown that smell like lilacs. My carpet shiny too, 'cause I've been washing it with Armorall. Aw, baby. Coconut, granada, cherry, baby blue. Aw, baby. Microscopic wheels going over speed bumps and too smooth. Aw, baby. Brush my lower interior, be fancy to me, baby blue. Aw, baby.
Wait, that Putrid Arvin, or whatever his name is, he's Swedish, the tennis player. He's Swedish.
Okay.
Now, to show you how much attention George pays to all these stories, that he claims to be the one that wants to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
He just faxed me a story that I read yesterday about the kid in Alabama that raped his mother. Trailer trash.
I thought this was a different one.
No.
Okay. Sounded different.
Gary Helms Jr. raped his 45-year-old mother this past weekend at Willow Terrace Trailer Park on Doyle Drive in Albertville. That's exactly the story we had yesterday. Even Josh remembers that one, right?
Well, I remember it. I thought this was different.
Yes, I do. George remembers it. Or whatever his name is. George Josh. So anyway, what about that Putrid Arvinen?
Who?
I don't know what his name is, and who the hell cares anyway? He's just a guy, okay? He's just a guy from Sweden, okay? When he takes his clothes off, when he puts his pants on one leg at a time, whatever that means.
Yeah, he's probably got Swedish meatballs.
Could be. I'll find out for you. Grades publicly released for George W. Bush at Yale, 1964 to 68, apparently differ from grade records for Bush stored in his residential hall on campus. The published grades are better than the grades in the stored records. What a surprise that is. Not that he would lie about stuff like that, or about that abortion that he paid for and drove the bitch to the abortion clinic, or about his DUI. Yale has an august tradition of housing students in separate residential colleges, not dorms, but smaller and more cohesive versions of the college experience. Bush's residential hall was Davenport, where his daughter Barbara also lived as a Yale student, graduating in 2004. So integral to the institution were and are those residential halls that for many years, important records, including student grade and discipline records, were stored at the individual colleges. This practice continued well up to the 20th century past the 60s. Then it was decided that it would be good to have them in a more official place, so academic records came to be stored in the registrar's orifice. However, the old records continued to be stored in the basements of the 12 residential colleges. Are you following this? I'm sure as hell not, but nevertheless. Also, the records stored in the residential halls were not just grades. Bush's records, for example, contained reports of his undergraduate shenanigans, including his police records. According to an informed source, the official school records at the registrar's office were much kinder than these other records. The key observations come from recent Yale alumni. One Yale student, offspring of an award-winning educator who graduated in 2002 with a strong undergraduate record, found out while at Yale that Bush had lived in the same residence and was not charmed by the discovery. A number of students were aware that the residences traditionally kept old grade records. The student was among those who went down to the basement, checked the older records physically, and looked at them. Students discussed among themselves the disparity between some grades published for Bush and those stored in the residence hall basement. According to the anecdotes, some of the house grade records had also been physically altered, with grades whited out or obscured and other grades substituted. Huh. Well, they must have been really good then, huh?
Oh, yeah.
One key question, among others, would be when the records were altered. Student hearsay has it that the altering took place during the presidential term of the senior Bush, but that may be conjecture generated by stories still floating around from the institution from 98 and beyond about visits from former First Lady Barbara Bush to campus. As the mother of a recent Yale alum puts it, there was this sense of control about the visits. The university was very uncomfortable, evidently from a sense of influence, if not pressure, for reasons not publicly clarified. Ties between the First Family and the university donor base are deep and long-standing. The White House has not answered questions telephoned and emailed in September 2006 and earlier on this topic. Their mum. As most parents know, discipline issues are not entirely separate from grade issues. One observer says, we just don't honestly think that Bush went to history clash. Bush said he did attend, but the grade records indicate otherwise. We don't think he was ever there. The version of the official presidential biography from the White House website says that Bush graduated from Yale with a B.A. in history. Yale students' proximity to records under the same roof was what gave them the information. According to the current webmaster for Davenport Hall, Davenport was renovated 2 years ago so that any files that were stored in the basement surely were moved. I'm not sure if anyone would know if they still exist, but the people who asked would be the master and the dean. Questions emailed to the pertinent officials have not been answered. Davenport Hall has now been extensively renovated, including its basement. Questions to the architecture firm about archives in the basement haven't been addressed. Issues here include the comparative lack of vetting Bush received as a candidate for the White House, while other contenders were being put through the meat grinder. The Bush campaign in Texas and D.C. adeptly presented its candidate as a homey Jimmy Stewart type, modest in his demeanor so that his modest accomplishments were a given to be taken for granted. Thus, the secrecy, drift, and dishonesty in Bush's background were largely given a pass. The big question is why Bush or anyone connected to him would try altering grades, and the answer is Vietnam. John Kerry's clumsy witticism about being stuck in Iraq is a flashback to Vietnam, when any student who flunked out was genuinely liable to be shipped out if his name was not George W. Bush. Interestingly, the Ivy League, difficult as it was to get into, was notoriously gentle about flunking out a student once admitted, including legacy students like George Walker Bush, who would be expected to get the Gentleman's C in any case. Gentleman's C. Mm-hmm. At this stage, some question remains as to whether he attained even that. For family members to go so far as to pressure the institution to keep Bush inside the hedges, to keep him stateside, if they did so, he must have been failing. Unfortunately, there is no inherent unlikelihood in this narrative, given the way Bush was leapfrogged over more than 100 other applicants for the Texas Air National Guard. Not that anybody pulled any strings, you understand, to get him in there. The deeper issue is character rather than grades. Assuming that these anecdotes are correct, and there's no reason to assume otherwise, they have fratitude written all over them. As any teacher knows, it's one thing to help your fellow students by filing professors' old tests and passing around copies from previous years. It's quite another to help by passing around answers to a test or copies of a test that students aren't supposed to have seen. Studying from old tests rather than going to class may not be the ideal way to learn, but it minimally is legitimate, cramming rather than reading, something most of us have done at some point. The other is cheating. By the same token, it's one thing to oppose all grades, the grading system, on the basis of reasoned argument that grades don't well reinforce learning. It's quite another to game the existing grading system by the dishonesty. Whatever one thinks of grade point averages, class standing, or the grading system in general, there can be no argument in favor of altering selected grades ex post facto. By the way, the years that George Walker Bush and Joe Lieberman attended Yale were also years that Yale and the other Ivies didn't admit women. If the elite institutions had more than doubled their talent pool by admitting women and historically excluded groups, presumably some of these bums never would have gotten in the first place. Wouldn't that have been a shame? Yeah. 1,091 votes on the poll. We're down a little bit because George says everybody's listening to Man Cow now. Right. He's is that what you said? Or is that what McGill said? Well, whatever, you know. These people deserve whatever they get, especially with the tremendous support that we got on this station, man. It's almost indescribable, you know what? From our upper-level management, from our middle-level management, which, forget about him, and, of course, from that sales department. That's your buddy, by the way. Mm-hmm. That's your bunk butt buddy from the Carolinas. Yeah. Chris Jones. Yeah. You're the one that always runs in these people in the hallway having all these clandestine get-togethers.
Clandestines. He was in the elevator.
Oh, he was in the elevator.
He was coming out, and I was on my way out.
And you actually let him out?
Yeah.
God, you should have just slammed that door and shoved the button where it says slow cook. Slow cook the schnook. How's that schedule for today? It's a Thursday. Well, I tell you, this week is flying by. It's November 2nd already. We got the Breeders' Cup coming up on Saturday. We got my birthday on Sunday. We got Election Day on Tuesday. Good God, pressure. Can you feel the pressure? Can you smell it? Wow. We got Mad Dog at 2, and we will get out of here at 2 in spite of how long the rejoin is. I'll just say goodbye, that's all. You should have seen me yesterday flapping around here trying to find a bit. And, of course, I got my coat on and my clothes. I'm getting ready for my Woodbine Wednesday to get out the door. And here all of a sudden comes this long, ponderous, unacceptable rejoin that's going on and on. And like I said, it's like an endurance contest. And trying to talk about your buddy Clarence about such things is like trying to talk about nuclear fission to my dog, to Tiny.
You ever try nuclear fission?
Yeah, nuclear. Takes a long pull. Mad Dog at 2, the Power Hour with Mad Dog solo 4 to 5. No Hank today. The Humpers at the Breeders' Cup. He's got bigger fish to fry, speaking of that. And so we got Geldy at the Yenta Center. from 5 to 7. That should be a big tune-in audience in preparation for the Panthers-Maple Leafs game. The Leafs will beat, who they beat last night? Oh, Tampa, 4-2. Panther preview at 7, Leafs and the Panthers 7:30. Eddie K at 11 o'clock tonight. And Ed Balfour is going to start and go for the Panthers tonight. The same Eddie the Beagle who got into another one of his barroom deals up there in Jersey. It was just a little bit of water on the floor.
The biggest names, the
Hey, Eddie, have another one, sweetheart. You idiot.
Sports Radio 560 QAM.
God, Neil.
Would you like to become a sports color commentator on primetime television? Then why not enroll in the Dennis Miller School of Broadcasting?
Okay, please, let's start at square one. It's not a ball, it's a pigskin, okay? It's not a playing field, it's a gridiron, and never, ever call them a crowd when you can refer to them as a teeming multitude of kinetic enthusiasts, okay?
At the Dennis Miller School of Broadcasting, learn how to fill time between plays with spontaneous, down-to-earth banter to which the working man can easily relate.
Okay, class, repeat after me. Here we go. I haven't seen blocking like that since the cavalry sequence in Birth of a Nation.
I haven't seen blocking like that since...
At the Dennis Miller School of Broadcasting, Dennis Miller himself will teach you how to construct entire sentences using nothing but made-up words.
Oh, man, Al. What an ostentatious malaprism of unaffiliated narnancy.
So if you are a fan of such legendary sportscasters as John Madden, Terry Bradshaw, and Don Meredith, then you should attend the Dennis Miller School of Broadcasting and become nothing like them.
Hi, folks. I'm Dennis Miller, reminding you that classes that start this week will have you on the air making references to the House of Plantagenet in just 6 weeks.
The Dennis Miller School of Broadcasting. Enroll today before Dennis is unceremoniously fired at the end of the season.
It's 11:48, 12 before 12. We got a natural there. Aren't you excited about that?
Thrilled.
Are you as excited about that as the fact that Dennis Miller's not on those broadcasts anymore?
Who?
You see, that's the main
What?
thing. Let's get somebody really clever and witty in the booth, you know. Let's have 15 people broadcasting the game. Then we can take the most boring, ponderous game, whatever the hell it might be, and turn it into a really exciting, entertaining event. Can't we?
We'll stick it up.
Like that cornholer that was on the Patriots-Viking game the other night. What does he bring, Josh? Maybe you can explain to me. What does he bring to the table?
Josh is not back from...
Oh, no, not Ace and Deuce. Now, what did you guys eat already?
We had our Howie's this morning, which I just had bacon, but Josh orders like 3 different things.
Yeah.
Like I know.
Well, I bet you 2 of them already are on their way out.
Probably. 2?
President Bush said yesterday he wants Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld and Vice President Cheney to remain with him until the end of his presidency, extending a job guarantee to 2 of the most vilified members of his administration. Birds of a feather stuck together. Both those men are doing fantastic jobs, and I strongly support them, Bush said, in an interview with the AP and others. On the war in Iraq, Bush said the military hasn't asked for any increase in U.S. forces beyond the 144,000 poor souls already there. He said U.S. generals have told him that the troop level they got right now is what they can live with. On another international issue, Bush said he was determined that sanctions imposed against North Korea must be applied, even though Pyongyang has agreed to return to six-nation nuclear disarmament talks. The president spoke in the Oval Office, seated in a wing chair in front of a table with a bowl of roses. 6 days before the midterm elections, he steered away from political questions beyond saying he was confident that Republicans would defy the polls and hold control of the House and Senate. I understand the pundits have got the race over, but I don't believe it till everybody votes, he said. That is, everybody that they'll allow to vote. Means no darkies, no Democrats, no liberals, no commie pinko fags, none of these people. Except, of course, the fags within their own gay cabal. The Velvet Underground.
Oh.
There's a lot of them.
There's a name for it, is there?
I don't know. Whatever it is. Sick. 1,113 votes. Did Josh get back, or is he still in the magic room? Wow.
Out.
Holy moly. Maybe he's not coming back.
That's possible.
Maybe he's looking for Putrid Arvinen.
Who?
You consider yourself completely open-minded, 564, 50.6%. You know, there's something I'd like to say to all of those people. Prejudice, 376. I hate this poll, 88, 7.9%. That's way too high. They don't like the poll today. Well, you know what? Too bad. You come up with the idea.
Who, me?
Racist, 51, and a total bigot, 34. Completely open-minded. I can't wait. I hope I live long enough to meet that person.
Well,
although that person probably be pretty boring anyway.
I imagine.
Goody two-shoes. Oh, I love everybody. Well, you're an idiot. Somebody with very, very limited social contacts who loves everybody. Everybody. Just like Ray Stevens said, everything is beautiful. Nobody said, boy, he's bad.
Did.
He was pretty funny for about 5 minutes, Ray Stevens, and I got really, really tired of him real fast. That'd be a good poll someday, maybe for tomorrow. Somebody who got tired of really, really fast. Oh, God. How about Dinah Shore? See, the USA. Georgia was playing shoe fly pie in the apple pan dowdy this morning. I don't want to hear it now. And also 16 Tons by Tennessee Ernie Ford on Capitol Records. Would you kill that piece of crap? I thought you would at least play, like, Tarzan or something really entertaining like that. Oh, this couldn't be Dinah Shore, could it? I sure hope not.
It sure is.
Oh. Shoe Fly Pie.
I got a better one than this, though.
And Apple Pan Dowdy. Ooh, what a funk up. I can't even hear the damn thing. What's that? Dinah Shore again?
Wait, here you go.
What is that, Buttons and Bows?
Salagadoola, menchikaboola, bibbidi-bobbidi-boo. Put them together and what have you got? Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo.
Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, yeah. Back to you, Dinah, bitch. Okay, that's enough for her. See, that was what I was trying to tell you this morning before the show. That's the kind of crap that was very popular back in the 50s. A lot of that kind of...
Oh, gee, sure, I'm glad I missed that. I mean...
Oh, yeah, what a shame. Let's turn the clock back again. Not just an hour. Let's turn it back like 50 years. At least we didn't have W back then. We had Ike, who warned us, why we fight. You should be watching that video, but of course you people won't. Jonathan Friedland, well, I don't have time to read this. This is too long. I don't want to, like, chop some story off in the middle. That would be really bad.
Don't cut!
No, I don't want to do that. A U.S. Army soldier who fled to Canada rather than return to Iraq has disappeared again, this time just a day after surrendering to the military. Private Kyle Snyder, 23, of Colorado Springs, Colorado, told the AP he was supposed to return by bus to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, Louisville on... Wait a minute. Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, Louisville on Tuesday, but didn't go. Does that make any sense to you?
Huh?
What is Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, Louisville? Louisville's in Kentucky.
I don't know.
He said he went AWOL after Fort Knox officials told him he'd be sent back to his unit, the 94th Engineer Battalion. This is from the AP, so what do they know? It's Dateline, Louisville, Kentucky, but it's, I don't know. Snyder returned to the U.S. Saturday after his lawyer said he reached a deal to receive an other-than-honorable discharge. I came back in good faith, Snyder said yesterday by phone. I put my trust in them one more time. Why should I put them in my trust in them again when I can just go back to Canada, eh? He didn't disclose his location. Oh, there he is. How you doing, Kyle? Right across the street. We're giving a big wave. That's probably what that alarm was before. He did not disclose his location. I cannot imagine why. Messages seeking comment were left with Jeannie Sinclair, a Fort Knox spokeswoman, but were not immediately returned last night. Did Josh ever get back, or is he still in there squeezing?
Oh, no, I'm here, man.
Snyder, a former combatant, and I was asking about Tony Cornholer, and of course George didn't have any idea who I'm talking about.
Who?
Like, what does he bring to the table in those telecasts? And the answer is absolutely nothing.
I like him normally, but I agree with you on Monday Night Football. He's a dud.
Why? It doesn't take 15 people to broadcast a sporting event. That's what these idiots don't understand. How many people can we squeeze into the freaking booth? You know, get a shoehorn and see how many more idiots we can squeak in there to talk a lot of trash. Snyder, former combat engineer, left the U.S. in April 2005 while on leave to avoid a second tour in Iraq, and I don't blame him. He said he worked as a welder and at a children's health clinic in Canada, eh? Snyder has said he was put on patrol when sent to Iraq in 2004, which he said he was not trained to do, and that he began to turn against the war when he saw an innocent Iraqi man killed by American gunfire. As a matter of fact, the very next story, which I don't have time for this moment, but we'll get to, Pulitzer-winning investigative journalist Seymour Hersh slams Bush at McGill address and says there has never been an American army as violent and murderous as the one in Iraq. How do you like that?
Wow. He must be a commie.
Yeah. Well, he's Jewish, you know, Seymour Hersh. Let's make them the scapegoats again. They're used to it. Let's get off the fags. How about the Jew fags, you know, like... like me. 1,124 votes on the poll. We're just asking your level of prejudice out there. And, of course, you know, everybody's open-minded. Everybody loves everybody. Especially in South Florida. There's no hate. There's only love and kindness. 1,128 and 50.4% say they're completely open-minded. Just like yesterday. You know, it must be Lion Week in South Florida.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
This is Coach Don Schuler, and I sound like Bob Hope on acid. And I want to tell you, it's the 12 to 1 hour or whatever it is.
And now, a telephone conversation between Paul McCartney and Heather Mills.
Hello, this is Andrew McCartney, residence.
Put him on the phone.
Sir, it's her.
Tell her I don't want to talk to her. Tell her I'm in me bubble bath.
He's in the bubble bath.
He's not in the bubble bath. I just heard him. Put the schmuck on the phone.
She knows you're not in the bubble bath.
Got to stop calling me.
Hello, Paul. It's Heather Mills McCartney.
For the love of all that's good and green, stop using Heather Mills McCartney. We're getting a divorce.
I I'm still your wife.
You're not me wife. Linda's me wife. You're just a bad bit of lasagna before bed.
You're going to regret saying that. I am going to drag you through the mud.
Me friends told me you were a lying, scheming black man and little bitch.
There's nothing beloved about you. Wait till everyone finds out who the real Paul McCartney is.
Your own father said you were a gold digger.
My father is a schmuck, just like you, except you're the one who'll be writing a check for $600 million to Heather Mills McCartney.
For the love of all the leaves in the tree, stop using me last name.
It's still my name, and I'm going to be filthy, stinking rich.
What do you want? I shouldn't be having any contact with you.
I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to start telling the truth about you.
You're a crazy.
I'm a crazy. How about the time when I was pregnant and you stabbed me in the arm with a broken wine glass during a fight?
You lunatic. That was a fight between Carlos and Gabby on Desperate Housewives on the telly.
How about the time I asked you to bring me 12 lemons and you only brought me 2? Baby needed 12 to make a centerpiece.
You crazy banshee. It was from the movie The Breakup with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston. You've lost it. You've lost it.
How about the time we returned from vacation and you screamed at me constantly? You'd say, open the case, Anya. Open the case to Lulabelle. Wait till they hear that story.
Wait till they hear that story. They'll know immediately. You're talking about the TV show Deal or No Deal with Howie Mandel. You've got the telly confused with reality.
How about the time you were an undercover police officer in the Boston Mafia? Huh? How about that one? How are you going to deny that, Paul McCartney?
I'm a Beatle. You're talking about Leonardo DiCaprio in the motion picture The Departed.
How about the time you made me play kickball with my bad leg?
But I love kickball. I love kickball. Kickball's like my favourite sport. And you knew that about me before you married me.
Just wait till Heather Mills McCartney gets you into court.
We all live in a yellow submarine. A yellow submarine.
12:02 at 560 WQAM. Boy, am I tired of him or what? And Brad Pitt and Brangelina and that Tomcat. All of that crap. Aren't you tired of it?
Yeah, the whole lot.
Wait till you hear this. This is from the Brad blog. It says, here we go again. Just push the yellow button and vote as many times as you want on Sequoia touchscreen voting machines, man. New vulnerability discovered on touchscreen systems made by one of the country's largest voting machine companies will affect elections in dozens of states. All right. California Secretary of State Bruce McPherson denies knowledge of vulnerability well after his office had been notified. Just push the yellow button and you can vote as many times as you want. Tom Corbat, an election integrity advocate from Riverside County, California, informed the Brad blog last night. Not that we're in any mood to report more such stories, but this seems to be a big one, a very big one. It seems there's a little yellow button on the back of every touchscreen computer made by Sequoia voting system that allows any voter or poll worker or precinct inspector to set the system into manual mode, which allows them to cast as many votes as they want. Concerns about the flaw were first reported some 30 days ago.
About 30, man.
The California Secretary of State Bruce McPherson's office by Ron Watt, a Tehama County, California precinct inspector who's been a poll worker in the county for the last 15 years. And yet, as recently as a radio interview on Tuesday, McPherson, who's been crowing about having the country's most stringent security process for voting systems, denied he was aware of any security issue with Sequoia systems. They didn't care about it, Watt told us last night about his late September, early October discussion with McPherson Voting Systems Chief Bruce McDonald. He said he didn't think it was an important issue. He said, I don't believe this is a real vulnerability. Watt and Corbat disagreed and placed another call to the SOS office on Friday. After Watt received a copy of Sequoia's Poll Workers Guide, booklet number 3, Troubleshooting, via a public records request in Tehama. On pages 19 through 22 of the booklet, which is marked as confidential and proprietary, he confirmed a simple manual override to the system. He learned about it years earlier, and the new manuals confirmed the button was still in place. Even in the latest models of the Sequoia Edge voting systems, both models 1 and 2. Watt had been taught to be a poll worker by Delarue, the former parent company of Sequoia, years ago when the systems were first brought to the county. The two men placed a conference call with McDonald last Friday after receiving the booklet. McDonald again reportedly downplayed the concerns, but said he'd look into it. He called Corbat back on Monday afternoon, however, to say Sequoia technicians had been in the SOS office and had confirmed the vulnerability. Sequoia's voting machines are perhaps the most widely used in California in some 19 different counties, including both Tehama and Riverside, which is known as the home of e-voting, as it was the first county in the nation to deploy such systems. But identical Sequoia machines are also used in dozens of other states around the country, including Florida, Illinois, and elsewhere. Just put the yellow button on the back of the machine, put that baby in gear. Vote early and often, over and over and over again.
Frequently.
Thanks to the diligence of Watt and Corbett, it is now confirmed that all such systems are completely vulnerable to virtually anybody who wishes to cast as many votes as they please. I can do it in 18 seconds, says Watt. I can train you to do it in 3 minutes. Just push the yellow button, wait 3 seconds, and it chimes. Push the yellow button again, wait 3 seconds, and it chimes again. Then it's all on the screen prompts. You're asked, you want to enter manual mode, and you just push yes, and you're on your way. Just say, yeah. You can then vote as many times as you want. You won't ever have to stop till somebody physically restrains you from voting. But wouldn't someone hear the chime we asked? Wouldn't you hear that chime? Maybe you think it was, chime time. No, it's barely audible. Quieter than the beep on your computer when it boots up. The systems are usually kept up against the wall to be near a power outlet and away from the poll workers for privacy. Plus, if you really wanted to pull it off, just come in with a friend and have them talk to the poll workers to distract them. No one would ever hear the beep and would ever know. McDaniel's message left on Corbett's cell phone Monday confirming the issue. Sequoia was actually in here this morning giving us a demonstration of the feature and how it works and how you would set it up and put it into that mode, said McDaniel. He claimed that the SOS office then contacted all California counties using the Sequoia Edge, and he said they're all doing poll worker training and putting up signs to warn people about the severe penalties for tampering with voting equipment, which would fall under most of them putting signs actually on the machines. They're also being very conscious of the placement of the equipment so they can observe, actually many of them have already planned to assign staff members to do nothing but just watch the machines for that purpose to make sure nobody's reaching around or doing anything, McDaniel explained on the recorded message. It's not the voters who are worried about doing this, Corbett said. It's the precinct captains and election officials across thousands of precincts across the country. This isn't unique to Riverside or Tehama. Tens of thousands of votes can be stolen across the country, he added. Corbett was furious that Secretary of State McPherson, who's been touting his record on security issues for voting systems, out on the campaign trail. A record, we might add, that seems to have little in common with McPherson's frequent public claims. He has certified system after system in the Golden State, despite scores of vulnerabilities, inaccuracies, failures, and malfunctions found in each one of them. Well, hallelujah, baby. How do you like that?
Nice.
It's enough to make you want to stay home next Tuesday, but let the Republicans do that. Let all those evangelicals stay home and rub their tzitzes. 1,151 votes on the poll. Thank God we don't have any bigots in this audience. We make no room for bigots except the hosts. Martin Lucas in the McGill Daily writes, the bad news, investigative reporter Seymour Hirsch told a Montreal audience last night, is that there are 816 days left in the reign of King George II of America. The good news, when we wake up tomorrow morning, there will be one less day. Hirsch, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and regular contributor to New Yorker magazine, has been a thorn in the side of the U.S. government for nearly 40 years, since his 1969 expose of the My Lai massacre in Vietnam, which is widely believed to have helped turn American public opinion against the war. He has broken news about the secret U.S. bombing of Cambodia, covert CIA attempts to overthrow Chile and President Allende, and more recently the first details about American soldiers abusing prisoners at Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. During his hour-and-a-half lecture, part of the launch of an interdisciplinary media and communication studies program called Media at McGill, Hirsch described video footage depicting U.S. soldiers, U.S. atrocities in Iraq, which he had viewed but not yet published a story about. He described one video in which American soldiers massacre a group of people playing soccer. 3 U.S. armed vehicles, 8 soldiers in each, are driving through a village, passing out candy to kids, he began. Suddenly, the first vehicle explodes, and there are soldiers screaming. 16 soldiers come out of the other vehicles, and they do what they're told to do, which is look for running people. Never mind that the bomb was detonated by remote control, Hirsch continued. The soldiers open up fire. The camera showed it was a soccer game. About 10 minutes later, the soldiers began dragging bodies together, and they dropped weapons there. It was reported as 20 or 30 insurgents killed that day. If Americans knew the full extent of U.S. criminal conduct, they would receive returning Iraqi veterans as they did Vietnam veterans, Hirsch said. In Vietnam, our soldiers came back and they were reviled as baby killers in shame and humiliation, he said. It isn't happening now, but I'll tell you, there's never been an American army as violent and murderous as our army has been in Iraq. Hirsch came out hard against President Bush for his involvement in the Middle East. In Washington, you can't expect any rationality, he said. I don't know if he's in Iraq because God told him to go there, because his father didn't do it, or because it's the next step in his 12-step Alcoholics Anonymous program. Hirsch hinted that the responsibility for the invasion of Iraq lies with 8 or 9 members of the administration who have a neoconservative agenda and dictate the U.S. post-9/11 foreign policy. You have a collapsed Congress, a collapsed press. The military is going to do what the president wants, Hirsch says. How fragile is democracy in America if a president comes in with an agenda controlled by a few cultists? Throughout his talk, Hirsch remained pessimistic, predicting that the U.S. will initiate an attack against Iran and that the situation in Iraq will deteriorate further. There is no reason to see any change in policy about Iraq. Bush thinks that in 20 years he's going to be recognized for the leader he was. The analogy he uses is Churchill, Hirsch said. If you read the public statements of the leadership, they're so confident and so calm, it's pretty scary. Almost as scary as those voting machines, Mon.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like that? Just press the yellow button, baby, and have a good time. Wow. 1,160 votes on the poll. They don't like it. In fact, I hate this poll's got 8%, 93. Isn't that bad? That's 2 days in a row. You know, we're going to have a lot more polls from Sean and our pollmeisters out there.
Maybe we should have a conference or something.
A conference with Sean?
Yeah, and our programming department and Josh over here.
Oh, yeah, get Clarence in there. That's right.
Everybody.
Get Clarence in there so he can get involved in our poll taking. I'm sure we can take some on. You think the Hurricanes will ever win another game? You think the Dolphins will win another game? Does anybody really care about... How about these Panthers, huh? You think the Panthers can beat the make-believes tonight in the Mac Arena? Any interest whatsoever?
No.
See, you're starting again. You're just relentless.
That's
you
me.
never stop.
I'm a troublemaker.
You are a professional troublemaker. You're relentless, and this anti-sports thing of yours, it's going to get you in big trouble with Clarence. He's going to turn on you like a cornered rat.
Gonna turn?
Like a muskrat. How is that putrid Anavid, whatever that kid's name is?
Who?
How's he doing? That Swedish kid, the tennis player.
Non-Perel?
Yeah, non-Perel putrid Anavid from VT, Virginia Tech. I mean, how can a school like Virginia Tech, how many students actually go to Virginia Tech?
About 30, man.
That's the thing that amazes me about all these schools and their big football programs and stuff like that. There's only one college football program that's of any interest to anyone, and of course that's Notre Dame because Brady Quinn is the quarterback. Isn't that right, Josh? You bet. Just dummy up. I mean, Michigan State, they lose every week. They lose to like little girl schools. Do I care about that? No. Did they care about it then when Duffy Doherty's, his whole game plan was 2 yards in a cloud of dust? Did they care then?
No.
And they still don't care. As opposed to those hotbeds of football insanity like State Penn, where the head coach is 120 years old, and University of Miami, where the head coach is his grandfather. You see that Michael Irvin wants Larry Cokehead to resign? Yeah, Michael wants to coke. Speaking of cokeheads. What the hell's Michael Irvin got to do with the price of rice? And what the hell's he doing on the air, huh? Is he supposed to be a role model for the chillins out there? For the young'uns?
He was a player.
Yeah, he was a player, baby. He was a Rip Snorton player, mostly the Snorton part. Very, very sad what's going on. So many major sports problems and so little time. That's why we devote 20 hours every day to it, baby, over and over again. Especially
rock
for
solid.
people that take it very seriously, like
rock solid,
like that one. Now, he's got a wife and more than one kid, or maybe one kid. What's his story? He's got a wife
and a kid.
Oh, okay.
How does he have time for like a family life with all of his adventures to the what's that thing he goes to every year? The combine. Columbine?
Joe Bell at least paid for him to go this past year.
Oh, that was darn white of you, Joe. Thank God we're doing that, paying for Orlando to go to the Combine as opposed to, like, promoting the shows on here. We sure don't want to spend any money in promotion. Let's spend some extra money. I realize it's only a drop in the bucket. So just say, to heck with it. Isn't that what he said?
Huh?
I'm going to start saying the F word pretty soon here if we don't get some, especially those rejoins. I want the audience to start paying close attention. In fact, this is going to kind of be like a new hobby for you. Get out your stopwatches and start timing those sports rejoins at the end of every break.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
I fucking blow.
Hi. Hello.
Aren't you Coach Poker?
Yes.
Forgive me, I don't always gush. But I listen to Sport Hole Radio all the time. And they drop your name so many times. I become your biggest fan.
Thank you very much.
Not to mention Kane. So nice, easy to say. Go Kane.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Helps me feel accepted. My oh so lonely life.
I'm glad to hear it.
I've even got the patch.
Yeah, that's great.
You know what that's code for?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Let me fill your manhole, pussy hat.
That's right, yeah.
I mean tonight, lover.
Oh, well, I...
Mind if I grab your goalpost?
Take me, sport. Sports.
Things go better with Coker.
All right. 12:19 at 560 WQAM. I say dump the old geezer. What do you say, Josh? They lost 3 games. That's it. You're out, Larry.
Yeah, definitely.
Get out of here. Silly old coot. Democratic National Committee Chairman Howard Dean said yesterday that President Bush is a lot like Richard Nixon, except the disgraced former president wasn't incompetent. In remarks to reporters at Vermont Democratic primary headquarters, the former Vermont governor, who briefly ran for president in 2004, cited what he described as similarities between Bush and the late former president, who's the nation's only chief executive to have resigned from office. In disgrace, no less, of course. Let me think carefully about this, Dean said in a political riff reminiscent of his days as governor. I think George Bush is the most incompetent president we've had in our lifetime. I mean, nobody would accuse President Nixon of being incompetent. In other words, he was a competent crook as opposed to incompetent. Isn't that what he's saying?
That's what he said.
Dean was quick to point out that Nixon was dishonest and that he wasn't endorsing the president's conduct in office. Still, he said, Bush and his administration share some of the characteristics of Nixon and his administration. What the hell was that?
You tell me.
Oh, I don't know what the hell that was. I think there's a lot of similarities between Nixon and Agnew and Bush and Cheney, Dean said, referring to Vice President Spiro Agnew, also forced to resign, and Vice President Dick Cheney. In fact, I think...
Another dick in the White House?
...is the last thing we needed. They're both using the IRS for political purposes. They're both spying on people they don't like, and not just terrorists, but also American citizens. Neither one of them particularly believes in judicial rights. They've both been dishonest with the American people, meaning Bush and Cheney. Amen. Evildoers. Dean's remarks came during a 40-minute meeting with reporters during which he predicted that if election were held today, Democrats would take control of the House next January and would win the same number of seats as Republicans in the Senate. But the election is not being held today, although we're optimistic nonetheless, he said. Dean, who arrived in his trademark rumpled style, his tie clip hanging from one side of his non-starch collar, his American flag lapel pin upside down. Oh, my kind of guy, real slob. Said that even though Democrats are angry with Bush and the Republicans, they would not embark on impeachment proceedings if they were to regain control of Congress. I just lost all my respect for Howie Dean. Rather, Dean said they would refocus on the middle class. If we win this, it'll be because people want a different direction for the country, he said, and we want impeachment proceedings now.
Oh! Right.
Just like Nancy Pelosi, man. Wimp. The wimp factor. Strikes again. Dean predicted a Democratic Congress would pass legislation to lower middle-class taxes, to roll back some of the tax cuts given to high-income families and corporations, to extend health care to more people, and to raise the minimum wage. And we're going to balance the budget, something that incredibly Democrats do these days, and Republicans can't seem to do anymore, Dean said. Dean said he doesn't expect Bush to endorse such an agenda, and he reiterated his belief that there's no guarantee Democrats will actually succeed in taking control of one, let alone both, chambers of Congress. Asked if he expected Democrats to repeat the performance of Republicans in '94 when they took dozens of seats and wrested control of Congress from the Democrats in dramatic fashion, the former governor said, no. We've had some bitter disappointments in last year, Dean said. He was one of them. But I think we're in a better position than we've been. Dean also said that he was pleased his party's begun to speak out against the war in Iraq, something that propelled him to the top of the Democratic list of hopefuls 2 years ago. The strategy fizzled out, and the party nominated Senator John Kerry to be its standard bearer. Senator John Scary Kerry, the waffler who was against it before he was for it, and then he was for it before it, whatever. Asked if he found it frustrating that the party is now only visibly supporting his anti-war position in 2004, Dean said dryly, I was ahead of my time. Unfortunately, I told you so is a lousy campaign slogan. How do you like that?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, later on in the same story, it said he arrived in his trademark rumpled style, his tie clip hanging, and the same stuff again, with his pin upside down. Maybe he likes pineapple upside down cake.
It's possible.
Or maybe he just likes it upside down.
Who doesn't?
1,195 votes on the poll, 1,185. We'll have over 1,200 in a couple of minutes for those who keep track of these stupid things. Do we really care about how many votes?
No.
We couldn't give a flying Joyce less. You consider yourself completely open-minded, 592. Oh, we finally got another 50% liars on there. Nice going. Oh, there's, speaking of liars, there's Joe Scarborough.
Straight ahead.
Get out of here. Completely open-minded, 592. You're full of garbage. Prejudiced, 406. I hate this poll, 97, 8.1%. Too many haters out there. They're not open-minded. See that?
They hate.
If they were open-minded, they'd like every poll that we put on there. All the work that goes into this crap, my God. It just that's the hardest thing about doing the show. The rest of it is like sliding off a log, you know?
Like cake?
I think that we ought to assign that to George. Don't you, Josh, coming up with a new poll idea every day?
God.
Even when I'm doing the show?
Why do you think I can't do it until the morning?
Do you think that's a good idea, Josh?
Well, you won't. Yeah, you won't have the polls till the morning, but
yeah, or at all.
Who cares? What did I just get through saying? So we get 50 votes on it. Who cares? Although at least we know it'll always be about sex.
Mostly, or drugs.
Sex and drugs, baby.
What's
In
your favorite
fact,
action
where's that one poll of Sean's I didn't use yet? The one about that gaping...
oh, yeah, that one.
The gaping hole. Not using that. I'll save that for you when I go on vacation next time.
All right.
Well, speaking of vacation, it would be very nice. I should have done this off the air, but since it's a very informal place anyhow.
Right. Everybody's getting their notebooks out.
Right. You need to find out from our fearless intermediate leader there what the story's going to be on Christmas Day, because some of us are going to have to make our plans, you know?
Okay.
And not just fritter away our... Although I do like fritters, man. Why did I say that? I haven't had fritters in a... Where the hell do you get corn fritters?
I don't know.
In the deep south, I guess.
I know where to get them in the deep south, not where you are.
Oh. Doesn't that sound good, corn fritters?
I'm very iffy on them, but I know a place in North Carolina where they're great. Where they
Nothing could be finer than a fritter in Carolina.
They're moist, and they got butter in them and real
goopy.
kernels of corn in there, as opposed to the kind of mealy ones that you get everywhere else.
I'll tell you one thing. After you have a corn fritter, you'll head right for the schmitter. Consider yourself prejudiced 408. I hate this pool 98. Racist 53. Well, shame on you. And a total bigot 37. I voted for that just so somebody would. I don't think we'd have all these other people say that. I'm not a total bigot. I mean, there are a few people I like. Not too many. The older you get, the more you realize that an awful lot of people are full of crap. You know that? Awful lot of people full of crap, including many of the ones that we have worked for in the past and work for in the present, and et cetera. A lot of people, they talk the talk, but they just don't walk the walk, whatever the hell it really means. They just talk a good game. Bada beep, bada boop, bada bop. You know, it doesn't take any talent to talk a lot of crap, you know? Just look at me for crying out loud. Bop, 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 bop. Although I'll tell you one thing, my bop, bop, bop is sure better than those damn sports rejoins. Did you go in there and smash him in the mouth yet? Give him some smash mouth?
I think I'll go talk to Joe Bell.
No, seriously, they're long and ponderous, and they make the breaks seem like an eternity. It's not bad enough that this new sales... Although I notice we're not doing that running 65 10-second spots in every break now like we were for a while there. 10s and 15s and 20s and a 5, a 10, a 15, whatever the hell I was. We're like the 5 and dime store. He's nickel and diming us to death. So by the time we get to the end of the rejoin, the audience feels like they're exhausted, like they just ran a 4-minute mile with that Anus Pudenheim or whatever his name is from Virginia Tech. Isn't that his name? Wasn't that his name? Anus Pudenheimer. I think he's kin to Vladimir Puntang, whatever his name is. I don't know. Virginia Tech. Can you imagine what a bunch of drooling yahoos there are in that school? Wow. And here's a kid from Sweden who comes in there, and he thinks because he's at Virginia Tech, he knows something about America. Well, he does. That's the epitome of America, is redneck heaven. Too many rednecks and so little time. Where is Virginia Tech, George? Josh, we have any idea?
Yeah, it's Josh. Maybe it's in Virginia.
You think?
Am I going to have to Google that again?
No, we could just forget about it like it doesn't matter.
It matters. It matters. The Hurricanes are playing Virginia Tech on Blacksburg. Invent the future. Where is it?
Blacksburg.
Blacksburg?
Yeah.
What kind of a name is that for a town? Oh, about Virginia Tech, applying to Virginia Tech. And there's that Punam, whatever his name is. That Miaskite, the tennis player from Sweden there.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Amen to that. Well, it sounded like somebody stuck the tube for the laughing gas in the studio whenever they taped that thing, didn't it?
It was funny.
Well, what did I miss, though? There was something really hysterical there that they were all just puking their guts out. What was so funny, though?
I don't know. Maybe we should hear it again.
No, let's not. For the state's gambling industry, a new era begins with next Tuesday's elections. That's what the Sun Sentinel says. Adrian Saines, whoever he is, or she is. Well, what's Adrian? Can that be both?
Yes.
Oh, whatever it is. For 8 years, the state's growing gambling industry has faced a staunch opponent in the governor's mansion. Fat-ass Governor Jeb Bush has never hidden his disdain for gambling, including his fight against adding Las Vegas-style slot machines at Broward County pari-mutuel facilities. State and Broward voters, however, approved the machines, and grudgingly he signed the law governing them, as if he had a choice. But Bush is out in January. Thank God! Oh! Due to term limits, and either Republican Charlie Crist or Democrat Jim Davis will confront further growth attempts by the industry, which has pumped big money into Florida's election. Crist's campaign got at least $5,000 from individuals with gambling connections, while the state Republican parties received more than $125,000. Davis's campaign got at least $1,500 from individuals with gambling connections, and the state Democratic Party got at least $250,000. Despite those donations, both say they're opposed to further gambling in the state. Figures. Tuesday's winner will also have to negotiate with Indian tribes over the Vegas-style slots they'll be able to install in their casinos statewide because of the Broward vote. Nearly Jim Davis nor Charlie Crist are pro-gambling, but either of them are less vehemently anti-gambling than Jeb was, said State Senator Steve Geller, Democrat of Hallandale Beach. A gaming supporter, he is crafting a bill to change some of the state's slot machine regulations. Neither of the two guys will be great for the industry, he said. The state already has poker, horse and dog racing, and jai-alai, which saw $331 million in wagers through the first 8 months of the year. It also has untaxed cruises to nowhere that provide Las Vegas-style gambling once they reach international waters. So those cruises to nowhere, man, where you can puke your guts out and have your wife get raped or killed, or both. The Indian casinos, including the thriving Seminole Hard Rock casinos in Tampa and Hollywood, and Miccosukee Indian Gaming west of Miami, have poker and video lottery machines that are similar to slots. Ersatz. The Indian casinos do not pay state taxes because they're owned by sovereign tribes, although other states have negotiated deals allowing their tribes Vegas-style games like blackjack and roulette in exchange for a tax. Bush's attempt to negotiate with Florida's tribes stalled earlier this year. Nice going, fat-ass Jeb. The Stallmeister. After the Florida Gaming Summit in Hollywood last month, a statement posted on its website said a research from Wachovia Capital Markets that the estimated 6,000 Broward slot machines will generate at least $700 million in wagering annually. The first are expected to open later this month. Gambling has its share of opponents. In a statement on its website, the Christian Coalition of Florida says gambling is a danger to society that produces huge financial and social costs that put families in risk. What's more dangerous, gambling or religion?
No contest.
Still, is there a God? Don't bet on it. Still, the industry is intent on growth. According to Giller, many of the state's pari-mutuels outside Broward want their own slot machines to keep pace with Dania Highlight, Pompano Park Harness Track, Mardi Gras Track and Gaming Center, and Gulfstream Park Thoroughbred Track. Gulfstream and Pompano, known as Racinos, are spending millions to improve their facilities ahead of the introduction of slots. At Pompano, owned by Isla Capri Casinos, Inc., a new 157,000-foot square building includes space for 1,500 slot machines, a bar and 4 restaurants, including a steakhouse and New York Deli, at a cost of about $155 million and is set to open early next year. I want the Neil Rogers Memorial machine there, man. A $5 Wheel of Fortune machine with my name on it. And my ass on the seat. We're not just throwing slot machines in a room, said Doug Shipley, Vice President of Racinos for Isla Capri. We're striving for a total entertainment destination. Meanwhile, casino and gaming companies donated heavily to federal and state campaigns. In state races, including the gubernatorial and legislative contests, gambling interest to a lot more than $1.8 million, according to followthemoney.org, a website run by the Institute on Money and State Politics that tracks state campaign contributions. Pompano Park alone contributed $431,000 plus, the website showed. In Florida congressional races, gambling interests contributed more than $67,000, according to the Center for Responsive Politics. And a pro-gambling political action committee called Yes for Better Schools and Jobs has received more than $7 million in contributions. The PAC is leading the campaign to again bring a slot machine measure before Dade voters, who rejected slots last year when Broward County voters approved them, as your fat-ass governor was hawking on the Spanish-language radio. Oh, it's evil, bada beep, bada boop, the world's going to come to win and vote no, you know? He is such a piece of turd, man. He's just a big... I flushed better down the toilet this morning than he is, okay? That's the truth. Giller said races for House and Senate seats also could affect gambling's future. He wants to change some rules the state has affixed to slot operations, including lowering the tax rate on the machines from 50 down to 35%. His bill would also call for elimination of a 1,500 machine per mutual cap and allow ATMs and free or discounted drinks at locations where slot machines exist. Can you imagine that? That was part of the restrictions they put in, which we already knew, but you forget. No free drinks, and no a 1,500 machine cap, and no ATMs. Who ever heard of such crap? It's like, come here, but don't spend too much.
Don't have a good time, either.
God forbid. Many in the industry argue that the 50% rate and other restrictions would limit economic development around the casinos, including restaurants, nightclubs, shops, entertainment venues. If the state were to lower the tax rate, you'd see a much greater capital investment in the gaming facility, said Joseph Weinert, Vice President of Spectrum Gaming Group, a gaming consultancy. Weinert also said the next governor may have some wiggle room in negotiating with gambling interests that could see slots added to pari-mutuel facilities statewide. While Christ and Davis say they're against gambling expansion, adding slots to existing pari-mutuels may not fit in that description, Weinert said. It's just seen as a different form of gambling in a place where gambling already exists. Yeah, what's the big simmers, huh? And he also said, as far as former fat-ass Governor Jeb Bush, ich hab ihn wert, is what he said. How do you like that? Yeah. I said that. And I stand by it. I stand by my man. He should only rot in hell, fat-ass Jeb Bush. And he will, and so will his wife Columba, the smuggler, and his the ganze Mishpacha, and his coke-snorting daughter.
Crack smoking.
I'm sorry. She got a crack problem? Kind of like Oprah. Oprah's got a fat crack problem. 1,217 votes on the poll. That's not too bad. I don't know what you're bitching about. We'll get to 1,300 easy. What are you complaining about? Remember the days we used to, pray we'd get to 1,000? We'd pray. We'd light a Yortzeit candle for the dead polls of the past. You know what Lech Walesa said, don't you? There's nothing worse than a dead poll.
Is that what he said?
No. You consider yourself 1,220 votes, completely open-minded, 606, 49.5%. That's starting to edge down a little bit as the guilt factor creeps in, okay? We're not asking in relationship to anybody else out there. Just look deep into your soul, man. Just look deep into your mind and what you think about this group and that group and these people over here and those smelly, whatever they're, cut the crap. And especially in South Florida where everybody hates each other like poison, And they're telling me that they're all completely open-minded, even our wonderful progressive audience. Thank God they don't think too highly of themselves, That's one thing about people. Like I was saying yesterday, there's so many ugly straight guys, and they think that every fag in the world is like chasing after him. Oh, yeah, he was coming on to me, like George with that story about the Greyhound bus.
Stop grabbing for our crotches, and we wouldn't think that.
Go watch your crotch, okay?
So you might be very particular, but guess what?
I am.
The rest of your group is not.
I am. I'm not one of those guys, like the straight guys who are just interested in huge breasts. They don't care what they're attached to, and what they really ought to do is just buy 2 bowling balls and take them home.
It'd be cheaper.
And at least they can't get away.
Well, they can
you
roll
consider
away.
yourself completely open-minded. 609, 49.6%. BS. Prejudice, 419. We're all prejudiced. Every stinking one of you, okay? Your mama. I hate this full 99, 8.1%. Well, we hate you. How do you like that? Like poison. Hub der and dreard. Racist, 54, and a total bigot, 42. I honestly, I was thinking about this the other day. Where did these Yiddish expressions come from, Where did this come from?
Somebody made them up.
I mean, I grew up around it, not that my parents spoke, they used them, but it just, I don't understand that. As I get older, I become more and more of an old Jew.
Oi!
Yeah, exactly. And that's even without living in Sunrise. Although Plantation Acres is very close to Sunrise. Maybe I should move to, Tamarack or Sunrise Lakes. I'm not too far from Sunrise Lakes. It's right up Nob Hill Road there, right up the road of Pete. Yeah. Oh. So what was better when South Florida was filled with all those crabby old Jews, or now the crabby old Cubans who are like, what's the new deal now? There must be something new that I'm missing.
South Americans.
South Americans, most of you, we know what's... And, of course, we got that new WSUA, that Colombian radio,
Right.
That Columba radio, they smuggle that baby in. It's an ethnic, not like a melting pot. It's like an ethnic sewer.
Pot.
I beg your pardon?
You said pot.
I said prod. Prod you into talking about pot is like prod me talking about candy, which you keep doing every single day. What was that, Jelly Bellies? I don't even know what the hell that is.
You brought that up. It was the police story.
It was in one of the
read.
stories. It was about the cop that wanted his cops on the force to lose weight because they had the big overhang.
Not true.
They had that big pupik hanging out, man. It's one thing to be fat, but when you're walking around with a huge, big pupik stand... when I weighed 266 in 1973 when I worked in Sarasota, when I woke up with nasty pounding headaches and sweats every morning, I went to the doctor and found out I had very high blood pressure, and he said, if you don't lose some weight, you're going to die pretty soon. That's a long time ago. That's 33 years ago. I was a young man. I was 31.
Wow.
And it's a damn good thing I went to the doctor. I'd be dead. Look at all what I would have missed, okay? I would have missed Mike Disney. I'd have missed Stan, what was his name? What was his name at INZ?
Major?
Not Stan Major. Stan, the general manager. I can't even think of his name. Stanley Cohen.
Oh.
And his brother Marty. I would have missed Marty Cohen at KAT and his friend Craig Worthing. I would have missed Sid Levin. I'd have missed Dick Casper if I would have not taken him. And then after I went to the doctor and he scared the hell out of me, I lost 100 pounds in a year. Aren't you proud?
I am.
And then I went to IOD and ballooned up again like into a big fat cow.
The biggest names, the best talent.
You're false,
is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Would you help an old altar boy? I'm a Catholic.
You fairy.
No. Everybody hates everybody all the time. Oh! That's the way of life in Florida. Absolutely. Foreheads pop with veins in anger. In hostile bedrooms now. Everybody hates everybody all the time. Riding on intolerance and fear.
All right.
It's where disenfranchised congregate, and they don't want you here. Oh! You'll find their attitude quite sour. With a machete, they threaten to slice you to the bone. Stand in the gridlock of rush hour. Out a window, someone calls you Matacone.
You fairy.
Everybody hates everybody all the time. No habla English in do. Something in the breeze is wafting from Pompano.
Hey, don't forget Leafs and the Panthers at the Macarena tonight.
For McCabe, pressured as it comes off the wing for Antropov. Hard leaf by Ponikarovsky puts himself offside with a spinning move at the blue line.
How do you like that? You want to hear the rest of the game in an hour from last night? Toronto 4, Tampa Bay 2 is the final score. I just mentioned that in passing. I'm sure George has heavy-duty interest. I got a story here that's going to wake you up.
Okay.
A gay man and admitted male escort claims he had an ongoing sexual relationship with a well-known evangelical pastor from Colorado Springs. Mike Jones told 9 Wants to Know investigative reporter at Channel 9 in Denver, reporter Paula Woodward, that he's had a sexual business relationship with Pastor Ted Haggard for the past 3 years. A sexual business relationship. Haggard is the founder and senior leader of the New Life Church in Colorado Springs. It's got 14,000 members. He's also president of the National Association of Evangelicals, an organization that represents millions of people. How do you like that? Haggard is married with 5 children and an outspoken critic of gay marriage. Jones broke his silence yesterday morning on talk radio. In an exclusive interview last night, Haggard denied the claims and told 9 News he's prepared for his own church to investigate them. I did not have a homosexual relationship with a man in Denver, said Haggard. I am steady with my wife. I'm faithful to my wife. I don't know if this is election year politics or if this has to do with the marriage amendment or what it is, but I'm not even the guy who will investigate it or question it. I don't know what the dynamics are, but this independent group will come in and do that. They'll do that. Jones started talking to 9 Wants to Know 2 months ago. He claims Haggard's been paying him for sex over the past 3 years, even though Haggard preaches that homosexuality is a sin. Jones also claims Haggard used methamphetamine in his presence on several occasions. What a meth he got himself into, you know it? What a meth. What a wicked web we weave when we practice to deceive, or however the hell that stupid old saying goes. How's that go?
Just like that.
No. People may look at me and think what I've done is immoral, but I think I had to do the moral thing in my mind, and that is expose someone who's preaching one thing and doing the opposite behind everyone's back, said Jones. Maybe like Charlie Christ. Former NBC News anchor Tom Brokaw profiled Haggard in 2005 in a series on megachurches. Haggard was also listed by Time magazine as one of the 25 most influential evangelicals in America last year. All we can say to him is... You failed. Yeah. How you like that? Oh, it's Wolf Mother. Get everybody whipped up for that hockey game tonight.
No.
Joker and the Thief. You ready for that, Wolf Mother?
Yeah, right.
Now, if you had a vacation coming up, which I guess you don't, but if you did, are we going to get that between now and tomorrow morning when you and I confabulate for the last time this week?
Okay.
Let's get that straightened out, okay? That thing about December and whether they got some crap to put on there. Maybe they can play some sportsy Christmas carols.
I'm hoping they will.
Or they can play like some university fight songs for 4 hours on that day, because who the hell would want to hear this show anyway? I already volunteered to work Christmas Day, so you guys can have it off, but nevertheless, because you guys sure aren't working on Christmas Day.
Not me, man.
A couple of professional Catholics like you.
On the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus H. Christ?
Yeah. Jesus H. Christ. Wow. What spot is this? Oh, it's a Spider-Man uniform spot. What is this spot?
Control. Don't blow it.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Woo! No comment. I'm not going to describe what they put on the screen when they say that. But at any rate, 12:52 is our QAM sports time. Now, I was thinking about vacations. Now, how about Tehran? Does that sound good?
Oh, yeah.
As soon as I got off the plane, I'd say, well, I'm Jewish and fag, but other than that, and from America, by way of Canada, and they say, oh, Canadian, okay, and then they come on in. Blow my brains out. Iran will offer cash incentives to travel agencies to encourage Western tourists to visit that country, giving a premium for Americans, the official Islamic Republic news agency reported. Yeah, let's go to Tehran, man. The Islamic Republic's political leadership has been trying to reach out to ordinary Americans to show that a standoff over Iran's nuclear ambitions is with the Bush administration, not with U.S. citizens. So go over there and get kidnapped. The latest initiative comes as UN Security Council deliberates a draft resolution that would impose sanctions on Iran for its disputed nuclear pogrom. Iran's tourism department will pay $20 per person to those who attract European or American tourists to the country, the agency quoted Mohammed Chief Malakzadeh, deputy head of the department, is saying. Malakzadeh, whatever the hell his name is, some raghead. Visitors from other countries would earn travel agents $10 per tourist per head. Maybe that's what that priest was paying for, that Getchke, that preacher. Paid so much per head. Last week, Iran's fiercely anti-U.S. President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad expressed opposition to a bill that would require Americans to be fingerprinted on arrival in Iran. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. The bill, which passed a preliminary reading in the Iranian parliament earlier this month, was drafted by conservatives who sought to retaliate for U.S. requirements that Iranian visitors be fingerprinted. It has not been debated yet. The U.S. measure, which also applies to nationals of some other countries, was implemented in 2002 and in the wake of the 9/11 attacks on New York and Washington. I wonder if this is where the Leafs take the lead in the third period.
Over the line, still has it. Against the board.
Didn't even record the game last night. I was so whipped up with that Woodbine crap. Working feverishly to get most of my money back, which I did. Aren't you proud?
Yes.
I sure as hell am.
O'Neill back to the point to McCabe. McCabe to the middle of the ice, back to Jeff O'Neill. O'Neill down low to Stajan, trying to come across in front. White a shot, scores! Ian White!
Anyway, I could smell it, I could feel it, you know? I could smell that goal coming. In an earlier attempt to reach out to Americans, Ahmadinejad in January proposed a resumption of direct commercial flights between Iran and the U.S., which were halted more than 25 years ago. Now, that couldn't be because all those Americans that got kidnapped back in, remember that? Mm-hmm. How Reagan cooked that up with the Iranian government and the Ayatollah so that they wouldn't release the hostage until after Jimmy Carter got his ass whooped in the 80 election. The U.S. and Iran have not had diplomatic relations since Iranian militants stormed the American embassy in Tehran in 1979. The atmosphere between the two countries improved marginally under former President Mohammad Khatami, who encouraged sports and cultural exchanges. Oh, he encouraged sports. We're all for that. Oh! But it deteriorated after the 9/11 attacks when President Bush declared that Iran belonged to an asses of evil with Iraq and North Korea. They're the asses of evil. He ought to check out his own ass first before he starts calling other people names like asses. Since taking office last year, Ahmadinejad has widened the gap with Washington by taking a hardline position on Iran's nuclear program and calling for the destruction of Israel. He said, Chub Mindrir. How do you like that about those poor Israelis?
Oh, yeah.
1,260 votes on the 1260. I think that was ALM in Albion, Michigan. You know what it means when you start reminiscing that much about things distant past, like all these old radio stations I keep talking about? It means you're close to the box, I think.
I see.
Close to the end, don't you think?
Good point.
Well, I see these numbers on there right away because being in the radio business all these last 100 years, you think of, like 1560 WTPS in Kalamazoo or 1260 WALM in Albion. I still keep thinking about Durwood Karn coming down the stairs pulling his pants up from taking a big dump while the news sounder was playing. Durwood's not in there. He's doing a big dump. Oh, and of course, he was a guy that weighed like about 300 pounds, so when he was up there doing a big job. Right? Yeah, that's it. The news sounder. From WALM in Albion, Michigan. Oh, you don't want to live in Albion, Michigan, man. Trust me when I tell you. It was okay. It had its moments. It was all right. Every stinking night, man. And there we were in the car on the way to Detroit to go to the track, to go to Hazel Park or Northville Down. What a bunch of racetrack degenerates, man. To go and bet on Joe Marsh Jr. and Red Ross and Ray Stein and all those guys. How do you like that? Harold Fisher and Macy Fisher. I bet you that's what we do. Let's do in fact, you like the hockey shows so much, let's do some more shows on harness racing. Oh! Although we got the Breeders' Cup on Saturday, we got thoroughbred racing, which, like I told you, oh, my God, get them in the gate already and get the race going, will you please? By the time they get the damn race going, for crying out loud, it's just enough to make you plots. Uh-oh.
And they're off. Something about you, and maybe it's true. Head-to-head for the early lead.
There's Tom Durkin with a second race from Aqueduct yesterday. I'm going to tell you something about this show. We have it all. You know what? We've got it all. And when we start playing pornographic audio from Playboy next week, then it's really going to be from the Playboy channel and the Hustler channel. Yeah, that's it. 1,260 votes on the poll, and half of you are a bunch of liars.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
The 1 to 2 hour.
We are going to break down your door, fire our guns, apprehend and torture you. If you do not adhere, we will make you disappear, unless you do exactly what we want you to. We are going to pull out your nail, put screws in your skull, ram a glow stick up your tube. The torture bill has been passed, Bush enabling act, and there's not a stinking thing that you can do. Hey, liberal, praise Bush as your Lord and King, or you will go to detention camp if you do not agree. You step in line and join the brown shirt fight, or I will make you disappear tonight. We're going to poke in your eyes, pull out your tongue, drive a spike into your feet and hands. You better watch what you say. Watch TV and obey, or else we'll make you disappear, because we can. Perhaps we'll beat you with a rubber hose again. Or dump you on the waterboard until you're dead.
102. I always like to hear that last gurgle there, the last waterboarding gurgle. 2 minutes after 1, that's our QAM Sports Eastern Daylight Time, Standard Time, whatever the hell it is. Well, we sure had a big Timmons about the time. You know, today was a banner day. I told you this morning. I could smell it. I could feel it. We got my internet and all my computer issues straightened out.
Yep.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Eric.
We love you, baby.
Josh is going to say, damn, both of you, because I'm going to be sending... I got stories up the old butt, man.
I bet.
I bet you Miss Wedge has got some stories up the butt. But at any rate, yeah.
Scary stories.
Oh, God, you don't want to go there.
I know.
Was I just going to tell you something mighty important, and then, of course, you sidetracked me with more of that filth that you're so famous for. God, are you a pervert or what? No, it was muy importante, man.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, no, it was my advice to the listeners out there, since we turned so many people onto Mozilla Firefox as an alternative to Internet Explorer, so we won't get all that spam and crap, and you won't have to worry about using Alexa and all that other garbage. What a banner day. I got rid of, well, you can't really ever get rid of Explorer in your computer because Bill Gates' evil spies are in there.
Stop using it.
But I at least stopped using it ever. And I got rid of Alexa. Removed it entirely from my computer, man. It's not a trace of it is in there. Isn't that exciting?
It is.
And we got that Hotmail situation straightened out. I could probably spend a whole day between, because it's colder than hell. It's like cloudy and 40 now for Castronova, who keeps the Toronto weather on his sleeve. It's compelling radio, Paul. But at any rate, I'll have the whole day to send zillions of stories. You want to see how fast they fire off of there. Well, you already know, don't you?
And tomorrow morning we'll work on how you can send them from your phone really quick and easy.
You mean from my BlackBerry?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
All right, from my BlackBerry?
Are you sure? Absolutely.
You mean sitting right there at Woodbine when I'm playing the machine?
While you're in the cab, on your way somewhere, you can
I'm in the can?
Yeah.
You mean with my lesbian ease as a cab driver?
You know it.
Wow. He's good people, though. It's a really good deal. I'll tell you, who cares about these rejoins? I get all whipped up and scream and yell. We don't care what you do, Clarence. Do whatever you want. If it makes you feel better, if it makes you squeeze yourself a lot more often, we know what Hank sounds like. We know what Mad Dog sounds like. We certainly know what
Rock Solid
he sounds like. We definitely know what that sounds like. So, and we know what Kenny and Bo sound like, too, even though Kenny hasn't been on that long. We know what he sounds like. He's fine. He's a good guy. Doing a sports show, but he's a good guy. And boy, that laughing gas routine on that one, I wish I would have found out what that was so funny there, don't you?
I can't wait to hear it again.
I must have missed the punchline.
Oh, it'll run again for you.
No, I'm sure it will. Oh, you mean this hour?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You have days.
Oh, there's that Nazi Robert Dornan. Boy, look at that. Look at MSNBC real fast.
In addition to 10 of...
There is a God, man. Looks like he got attacked by the ugly stick. Not that he ever looked good in the first place. That right-wing, homophobic, obnoxious California former Congressman Robert Dornan. What a piece of turd, okay? What a... bastard.
You run for office to...
They dig all these losers out, man. It's, all the talking heads all the time. You see him? He looks like he's aged 100 years in the last 5. Good. Good. I hope he dies a wicked, nasty death. Right there on TV in the middle of this interview would be good. Miserable right-wing piece of turd. Evelyn Pringle. This article, if I were to read it, I'd be done by about midnight tomorrow. That's how long it is. It's on our website, or it will be tomorrow, along with the other 500 I'm sending to Josh. Listen, I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not going to send you like 100 stories. Just relax. And if I do, every one of them better be on there. Evelyn Pringle is a columnist for Op-Ed News and investigative journalist focused on exposing corruption in government and corporate America. You know who that is now? Good.
Who?
And this article from Smirking Chimp, the headline is, Dick Cheney fitted for new Halliburton uniform, striped jumpsuit. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is conducting a formal investigation into whether Halliburton made improper payments to government officials in Nigeria in connection with the construction and expansion by TSKJ of natural gas liquefaction complex and facilities at Bonny Island, Rivers State, Nigeria. TSKJ is a company registered in Portugal whose members include Technip SA of France, Snaprogeti of Netherlands BV, a subsidiary of Saipem SPA of Italy, JGC Corp of Japan, and Kellogg Brown & Root, a successor to the M.W. Kellogg Company, each of which has a 25% interest in the venture. TSKJ entered into various contracts to build and expand a liquefied natural gas project for Nigeria LNG Limited, which is owned by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corp, Shell Gas BV, Cleat Limited, and Algip National International BV, an affiliate of ENI SPA of Italy. A lot of initials in this, you know. You don't have to keep track. It's just the part where we get to Cheney that counts. I'm only going to read a little bit of this. Too long. It's 100 pages long. M.W. Kellogg Limited is a joint venture in which Halliburton's got a 55% interest, and W.K. Kellogg Limited and M.W. Kellogg Company were subsidiaries of Dresser Industries before Halliburton's 1998 acquisition of Dresser. The M.W. Kellogg Company was later merged with a Halliburton subsidiary to form Kellogg Brown & Root, KBR. The U.S. Department of Justice is also conducting a related criminal investigation of the Nigerian bribery matter pursuant to the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, FCPA. And last but not least, on August 7, 2006, the Financial Times of London reported that KBR, a subsidiary of Halliburton, is being investigated by Britain's Serious Fraud Office over the company's role in an alleged plot to pay more than $170 million in bribes to win $7 billion worth of contracts at a Nigerian oil plant. For part of the period under investigation, the newspaper reported Halliburton was headed by Vice President Dick Cheney. All right. I just mentioned that in passing, and you can read the rest on our website by Evelyn Pringle. Well, we sure like her potato chips. You know, you can't eat only 100.
Right.
1,278 on the poll. We'll get to 13-something easy. Easy. Like sliding off a rock. Wouldn't you say sliding off a rack? All you people with kids out there, you better watch what they're diddling on their computer and what they're downloading. Patricia Santangelo wouldn't concede in her fight with record companies that accused her of pirating songs over the Internet. Now the companies are hoping for an easier tussle against her kids. 5 record companies, represented by the Recording Industry Association of America, filed a lawsuit in federal court in White Plains yesterday, White Plains, New York, against Santangelo's son and daughter. It is said Michelle Santangelo, 20, what does she look like, has acknowledged downloading songs on the family computer and that her brother, Robert, 16, had been implicated in statements his best friend made. It accuses the two of downloading and distributing over 1,000 songs, including Pretty Fly for a White Guy by The Offspring, Beat It by Michael Jackson, and Bop by Hanson. How do you say that? Bop.
Yeah.
By Hanson. Oh, anybody that would download songs by Hanson needs to be shot. Oh, they did have that one record I liked. I hate to admit that. That's bad. You know the one. I played it a couple of times. It was pretty good. Remember the video where he was tinkling on the piano?
No.
That's your telling it. Oh, don't play Hanson, please. We're trying desperately to get the audience back now that they're tuned off from all those rejoins. That's not the song anyway.
That's got to be a chick.
Looks like a chick.
Oh, get out of here! Like that doesn't sound like Michael Jackson.
That's a chick.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Or Donny Osmond in his earlier prepubescent days. Is that the song? That's not it. We don't want to hear Hanson, you maniac. Oh God, I'm going home. Well, I am home. I think I hear another fire drill. Yeah, there's another fire drill. I got to get out of here. See you. Cut the crap, will you please? Man, none of those are the song I like. What is the song? During the break, I'll Google it and you'll play it. It was a big hit.
All the Hanson I Got.
Oh, that can't be All the Hanson You Got. Enough. And the one thing about them, not only couldn't they sing, but they were ugly as sin, man. They looked like an inbred bunch of retards from Indiana. I guess they were, huh? In short, each of the defendants participated in the substantial violations of plaintiffs' copyrights at issue and then concealed their involvement, standing idly by as Patricia Santangelo repeatedly protested their innocence and chastised plaintiffs for filing allegedly frivolous litigation, the complaint said. The Santangelo's lawyer, Jordan Glass, disputed the recording industry's allegations, said he was at Michelle Santangelo's deposition and doesn't recall her admitting or acknowledging downloading. Patricia Santangelo, whom a federal judge called an internet illiterate parent, drew attention last year when she denied downloading songs and refused to settle with the recording industry, which she said demanded $7,500 to keep her name out of a lawsuit for illegally downloading music. Defenders of internet freedom helped pay for her attorney. She proclaimed her innocence on TV, but the question remained whether her children had done it. Santangelo said she had no knowledge of them downloading, and if they did, the blame lay with computer programs, not with her or the children. It's the computer's fault.
Yeah.
The industry is requesting an injunction on specified damages for each download and court cost. The record companies have sued thousands of people, including many minors, for allegedly pirating music through file-sharing computer networks, most of which have been forced out of business. Like, what was the big one?
Napster.
Napster? Well, no, Napster went legal, though, right?
Right, well, first,
what's the other one? Oh, we don't want to put them on the air, then everybody's going to blame us for it, okay? They keep giving out the names of these websites for people to go to so they can illegally steal the song. That's the kind of stuff we do on here. We aid and abet in criminal acts. Isn't that what we're here for?
Criminal acts.
Criminal acts. In fact, that's when you're working on this station, you're aiding and abetting in a big criminal act, impersonating a radio station. I want you to go in here in Joe Bell's office at 2 o'clock. I want you to march down the hall, if he's back from lunch, which I doubt. I want you to march down the hall, and if he's not, just go in there and pee on his desk until he comes back. And I want you to jump up and down like Rumpelstiltskin right in front of his desk and say, Neil says those rejoins are 2 GD long, okay? They're ridiculous. They're a tune-out. What is wrong with you people, you and your boyfriend Clarence, that he's turned the keys to the kingdom over to? See, I can forgive people from almost anything, but turning the keys to the kingdom over to a putz like that, line from The Godfather, that I do not forgive. Remember that long speech there when he met with the heads of the 5 families? Remember that speech? That I do not forgive.
Something here today.
Yeah. We don't have any of that, though, in that speech.
Don't we?
Oh, wait, no, yeah, we do.
But that aside,
Yeah?
Yeah.
let me say that I swear
On my children.
on the soul of my grandchildren
On my grandchildren. See, told you. Sold.
that I will not be the one to break the peace we've made here today.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Only in the Banana Republic, baby. Only in Miami.
Hillary Clinton says she's a good senator, but what you don't know is she's ugly. In 2001, Hillary entered a Washington, D.C. ugly contest and was turned away because they told her, sorry, no professionals. In 2003, a congressional investigation labeled Hillary as a 9-iron. She's good from about 130 yards away. Can we really afford to elect a senator who's UGLY and has no alibi? On November 7th, pull a bag over your head and pull the lever for John Spencer.
I'm John Spencer, and I'm pretty.
Pretty grotesque. Looks like Roseanne Barr's ass. On a bad day.
Hillary from Arkansas, Hillary from Little Rock, Arkansas. Got an idea from Tiffador. Moved to New York and run for senator. All through the state, people shout your name. Hillary! You will never beat Giuliani. No, sir! The idea seems so celery. Hillary from Arkansas. Miss Hillary from Arkansas. Right out on the cornfield on Hee Haw. Husband Billy is a naughty boy. When you leave the house, he'll jump for joy. Whitewater now just a memory. Hillary! Reno doesn't have a clue. No, sir! You and Bill are so damn slippery. Hillary from Arkansas. I think you should run, honey. Well, hell yes, I do. I think you should devote all your time to it. And I'll just, I'll stay home, you know. I'll take care of things. Taking care of business. I'm a BTL fan, man. Miss Hillary from Arkansas, it's the damnedest thing I ever saw. You're a switchy little goofy dog, 'cause you never have lived in New York, so change your mind, run in Illinois. Hillary! We don't believe that you're a Yankee fan. No, sir! You're a dope-beating bad Democrat. Hillary from Arkansas. H-I-L-L-A-R-Y! Hillary! Hillary!
If I might open the door again, you could hear we're having another phony false alarm. There must be having some issues. Yeah. How do you like that? Can you hear it in the background through the door?
Yeah.
Hear it?
I do.
Oh, good. I'll open the door for a special effect. You can hear it like real. Oh, yeah, real loud. Like this. Oh, God. I told you, I knew there was something in the air about this day. You could smell it, you could feel it, you could sense it. You had a twitch in your bowels, you just knew it. Christian Defense Coalition says many evangelicals feel used and taken for granted by the Republican Party, to which we say...
Surprise!
Yeah. We told you so. All you silly-ass sketchkeys out there. They're funning you, man. They're making fun of you behind your back. Just like you know certain people that talk behind my back.
Who?
I don't know. Many evangelicals feel used and taken for granted by the Republican Party, according to a release issued by the Washington, D.C.-based Christian Defense Coalition. Wow. If Republicans lose the House or Senate, they only have themselves to blame, said the group's director, Reverend Pat Mahoney. Oh, no, not Reverend Pat Mahoney, Mr. Ego's buddy. Oh, no. Who was formerly with the anti-abortion group Operation Rescue. Oh, wait a minute, here's the announcement coming. Be very quiet. Have your attention, please. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't live in the penthouse, so get lost. And quit playing that loud beeping, will you? They have failed to energize and empower faith and value voters, which provide a critical base of support for the Republican Party. Reverend Mahoney claims that many... Wait a minute. Here comes another announcement, I think. Yeah, you got my attention. Yeah.
I'm good, and I feel like the building.
I'm not on that floor, so go away. Reverend Mahoney claims that many evangelicals believe the Republican Party courts them during elections and then abandons and ignores them after the election is over. According to another press release issued by the group, the Christian Defense Coalition will lead a prayer vigil on the lower western plaza of the U.S. Capitol this Sunday to seek God's blessing, guidance, and direction for the most important midterm elections in many years. How do you like that? God is going to guide them at a prayer vigil. The coalition believes that even after years of GOP control of the House, Senate, and White House, there's little to show in the area of real change in Washington, which translates into a lack of passion and energy for the midterm elections. Comments I often hear are things like, why should I pass out literature in the freezing cold or the pouring rain, Mahoney said, or spend hours manning a phone bank for candidates who deliver so little. Republican leadership can no longer assume that the faith community will vote for them just because they're Republicans, the press release continues. Everything is in order. It's another phony false alarm. And cut the crap, okay? And where's that hot young guy that was in the lobby during the last false alarm 2 days ago? Send him up here. He'll heat things up. Well, we could have a real, like rubbing two sticks together.
Mm-hmm.
The coalition, well, maybe I can go back to the Boy Scouts again. I was a Cub Scout.
Were you? Were you a wee blow?
The coalition also plans... That's what they told me.
Uh-huh.
The coalition also plans to help organize a day of prayer at the U.S. Supreme Court beginning on Tuesday, November 7th, Election Day, running through the partial birth abortion ban arguments of the court on November the 8th. All right, the unctuous Reverend Pat Mahoney, who's an invention of Mr. Ego and that station that nobody knows what it is. How do you like that? Wow. Oh, my God. When you trace every evil thing back, forget about the evildoers, it always comes back to Florida, you know? Just like those hanging chads.
What's up with that?
Just like that Catherine Harris bitch. This is a really traumatic story. 25 years after he was convicted of rape, Larry Fuller walked out of a court a free man Tuesday of this week when a judge ruled that DNA testing proved his innocence, the 10th such exoneration in Dallas County in 5 years. He just, of course, happens to be a black man. Not that black people get railroaded in the Deep South, but they do. There's no bitterness. That's what life's about. Trial and tribulation, said Fuller, who carried 2 worn Bibles to a brief afternoon hearing. My faith was tested and I won. Well, if there was a God, how come God let him sit in his ass in there for 25 years? Huh?
I wonder.
Huh? At the end of the hearing, Assistant District Attorney John Rollader apologized to Fuller, responded, "Thank you, apology accepted. I forgave them a long time ago the day I was convicted," Fuller 57 said, as he accepts hugs from his attorneys, brother, other relatives he described as his Amen corner. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Amen. Barry Scheck, co-director of the New York-based Innocence Project, and one of Fuller's attorneys called for an independent commission to look into Dallas's wrongful conviction and see what the hell was going on. They want to know what the hell's going on, Howard. But Rollader said the number's not out of line. Remember that network?
I do.
Fuller was convicted of aggravated rape. I bet you that's the part right where Josh fell asleep when they said, "I want to know what the F is going on, Howard."
Yeah, that was it.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie, and the fact that you fell asleep is a very sad commentary.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Oh!
Fuller was convicted of aggravated rape and sentenced to 50 years in 1981. A 37-year-old woman said he was the man who broke into her apartment and raped her using a butcher knife to cut her thumb, neck, and back as she struggled. The victim looked at 2 photo lineups, both of which included Fuller. She picked him in the second one, even though Fuller was bearded in the picture, and she said her attacker had no facial hair. How do you like that? Maybe it's like one of Carl Rowe's beards.
Funny.
State District Judge Lana McDaniel, who freed Fuller, said she felt sick to her stomach thinking about the injustice that had been committed. What do I say other than I wish you well and apologize on behalf of the state of Texas, she told him. 25 freaking years, the heart of this man's life. He's now 57. He's a doddering old fart. Texas passed a law in 2001 setting out a procedure for re-examining certain convictions with DNA testing. Nearly all of the overturned convictions from Dallas County were handed down in the 80s before the advent of DNA analyzation. If you have 10 plane crashes at the same airport, you'd want to find out what's going on and how we can fix it, Scheck said. Rollader, however, said he doesn't think there's a pattern to wrongful convictions. I've looked at these cases, and they involve 4 different agencies, quite a number of different prosecutors and courts. That does not indicate there was a rogue cop, a rogue court, or a rogue prosecutor. I wonder how many of these people were black, by the way.
Good question.
Yeah, probably all of them. Not that there's any racism we understand in the Deep South, certainly not in Texas. The eyes of Texas are upon you. The eyes. Isn't that where all them illegal aliens are pouring in across the border? I'm surprised they don't shoot them all. Oh, look at that new poll. Tester leads Burns in 47 to 46. Wow, in Montana, your state.
We'll see any real...
President Bush campaigning for candidates. 56% say that hurt and 26% say it helped. All right. A resonating endorsement for your president. But the Democrats only 1 point ahead in Montana. Well, that's big sky country, baby. That's real dark red country, ain't it?
Not as much as you'd think.
It burns to think the Republicans
Many
are
Democratic governors there in Montana.
I beg your pardon?
Many Democratic governors, a lot of Democrats live in Montana. A lot of hippies, a lot of tree huggers, because that's what
in Shelby?
I don't know about Shelby.
1,309 votes on the poll. Do you consider yourself completely open-minded? Oh, yeah, 49.9%, nearly half, 654 of this crowd of liars. Completely open-minded. They love everybody except their neighbor and their spouse and their, people from India and dark folks and white folks and spics and Jews and fags. Prejudice 445. I hate this poll, 107, 8.1%, very high. Very high, like George's right now. Racist, 59, and a total bigot, 44, Archie Bunkers.
The biggest names of best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
That the Lord even loves Neil Rogers.
Absolutely.
Anybody here seen Jack Abramoff in his orange jumpsuit and fedora? He screwed a lot of people, but thieves sometimes get caught. I thought in variety, Neo Khan. Anybody here seen good Christian Dobson? Will be moral founder Khan. He's not convicted yet, but should be before he's done taking a shower with his son. Favors and lies is what the White House is capable. Moralist Christians who know what's best for you and me. Abramoff, that day, he was in some deep, in other words, duty. Anybody here, please take time to lady, Gorner Stelpen, Otto Hoyt. These kind of slides belong in Camp KY. Abramoff, Dobson, and Tom.
131, boy, I'm going to tell you, a lot of pressure building because if Virginia Tech beats the Hurricanes Saturday and the Bears pummel the Dolphins, which is most likely on Sunday, it could be another disastrous sports weekend, and you'd be really cursed in South Florida. Wouldn't it be bad?
I'm sorry, was that a most likely on Sunday?
Like I said, after the Bears pummel the Dolphins, which barring some miraculous, like maybe if they missed the bus to the stadium in Chicago,
yeah, like
the Bears, that would be about the only way they could lose is like by forfeit.
5 on 11 or something.
Well, that's the way it goes. It's just one of those things, you know. I think Nick Saban is out. I think old Larry Cokehead. You're out, Larry, you old fool. Speaking of old fools, Frank Castle. I wonder if he's related to Matt Castle. I just Googled Matt Castle back from his USC days on the internet. His whole family. He's got a brother who's like a pitcher for San Diego, and he's got another brother. All his, it's a jock family. Do you ever know families like that where everybody in the family is a jock?
Oh, okay, sure.
Now, when you went to high school, did you have to, like in gym class, wear a jockstrap?
We didn't have to in gym class, but during the athletic after-school programs, we did.
Oh.
Like track.
In gym class, we had to wear jockstrap, and then, of course, we used to swim naked and swim in the pool.
Yeah, you did all kinds of strange things in your school, didn't they?
Yeah, we did. Now, if I could just turn the clock back.
Uh-huh.
A Virginia sheriff covered up a scheme in which a dozen of his deputies sold seized guns and drugs to the public. You ever wonder what happens to those seized drugs and guns, George? Maybe you can get on that action.
I would like them.
The indictment names Henry County Sheriff Harold Franklin Castle, known locally as Frank, and 17 others. Good old Frank Castle. I wonder if he's kin to a Matt or Royal. They were taken into custody this morning, the DEA said in a statement. It's a disgraceful corruption, said U.S. Attorney John Brownlee. I wonder if he's a Brownlee hound. These were drugs and guns that were seized as part of their law enforcement duties and then were stolen from the property room and put back out on the streets. Well, they gotta, everybody has to make a living. Brownlee added, you have law enforcement officers risking their lives to take these guns off the streets, and then a very few members of law enforcement putting them right back out there. He acknowledged the arrest would affect the department's ability to carry on day-to-day operations. Virginia State Police are being sent to ensure safety, Brownlee said. Among the schemes alleged in the indictment, the theft of drugs and firearms in the custody of the Sheriff's Department, distribution of cocaine, marijuana and a date rape drug, money laundering, and obstruction of justice. All of these things. The DEA said 13 of the 18 charged are either current or former employees of the Henry County Sheriff's Office located in southern Virginia's Piedmont region. America is a redneck country, baby. Make no mistake about it. As I get older, each and every day, that's the one thing I've learned. It took me a long, long time. Well, actually, years ago, I started learning it. When I really first got a real whiff of what it was all about, I was broadcasting basketball in Indiana. And the state championships were from Indianapolis. It was my first visit ever to Indianapolis. They got this big circle in the middle of town, you know, like the Hollywood Circle.
Okay.
In downtown Indianapolis. And the big thing they do on Saturday night is everybody gets in their car and they drive around and around. They just cruise around the circle in big circles.
That's every small town, yeah.
Right. Well, Indianapolis ain't a small town, though. But anyway, so you go into a restaurant there, and it's like all the waitresses had a deep southern drawl. You want some apple pie, honey? Apple pie. And you look on the map, Indianapolis doesn't look like it. I mean, it's in southern Indiana, but do you think of Indiana as being part of the deep south? Of course not.
No.
But it is. It is. Anywhere south of Michigan and Pennsylvania and Connecticut and Rhode Island. Anywhere south of New England, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. That's where I draw the line. Which, if you look at the map, you say, well, that's most of the country except for the West Coast. And like I said, except the West Coast. Officials allege Castle was advised by authorities of drug transactions going on in his department, but took no action. Authorities also allege the sheriff covered up several illegal activities by lying to federal investigators. What a slime ball, man.
Who would do that?
Him. Castle was elected sheriff in 1992. The department employs 122 people, 96 of them as something or other. There's a line missing from the story, but we don't really care, do we? As slime balls. Well, there you go. Sign America, baby, the good old Deep South. Rednecks and cowboys and crooks and schnooks. Horse trainer claims Calder and Churchill Downs abused his horses. A horse trainer and owner has sued the operators of two racetracks in Florida and Kentucky that he claims drugged and physically abused his thoroughbreds and allowed other jockeys to maneuver their steeds into his horses during races. Dennis Fisher, a Florida resident, also claims the racetrack's intentional acts of foul play resulted in permanent injuries and the death of one of his racehorses, according to a lawsuit filed this week in Dade Circuit Court. Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky, and its management company Calder Racecourse in Miami Gardens, also operated by Churchill Downs, are named as defendants in the lawsuit. Fisher's lawsuit claims the racetrack's misconduct, including defaming him with allegations that he drugged his own horses, began in November 2004. The misconduct stems from a personal vendetta against Fisher based on information or belief concerning Fisher's knowledge concerning possible corruption, the lawsuit said. Messages left after hours last night for Fisher's attorney, Merrill Brown, and at both racetracks were not immediately returned. The lawsuit seeks attorney's fees, court costs, other damages. The court seems proper. How do you like that? They diddle with his horses, baby. And, of course, we got the Big Breeders' Cup coming up on Saturday. Any interest?
No.
See, that's the problem. Horse racing is for old men. Thoroughbred racing. Old men. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. What? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Well, when you go to the track, the median age is death plus 10. You know that.
Yeah.
Now, if we get these damn slots going in there, get some people under the age of 100, get some living and breathing people in there to leave a deposit, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I bet you'll be over there like crazy. You'll be at Pompano, you'll be at Gulfstream. In fact, you can hop in a car at 2 o'clock and be at Gulfstream by 2:20.
Yeah, if only I had some money to gamble.
Forget about money, okay? Just go in there and tell
I'd love to.
George Rodriguez from the Neil Rogers Show. They'll open you up an account. By the 15th of February of next year, you'll owe them about $40,000. But what's wrong with that?
They need to open up a no account for me.
You mean a no cash account?
Yeah.
How about a free machine, man? In other words, kind of like Gay Edgar Hoover used to have at the races.
That's right.
In other words, if you win, you win, and if you lose, you still don't lose because they give you your money back. Not that there were any fixed races, you understand, back in the day at Pimlico, where Gay Edgar Hoover and his companion Clyde Tolson used to hang it out. Look at that, man. I'm just taking a look at these stats here. We're kicking some fat ass in spite of all your negatority, in spite of those long, ponderous. Now, did you go in there and ask Clarence about Christmas, about December 25?
No. I'll ask him after the show.
I want you to go in there. You're going to be doing a lot of hopping this afternoon, man. You're going to be hopping up and down like a Mexican jumping bean in heat. Jump up and down on his desk. Go in there and jump up and down on Joe Bell's desk. Then go in there on your sales manager, Chris Jones, since you guys have so much in common being from the Carolinas, nothing could be finer, and go in there and pee all over his head and see how he likes it. Of course, being from Carolina, he might enjoy it. Isn't that what they do up there in Aintree? I'm telling you, man, if you want to see a movie that tells you, there's two movies I would highly recommend that tell you what America's all about these days and this year in 2006. One is Southern Comfort, and the other is the one you're playing the theme from right now, Deliverance. It's not really the theme, is it?
It's regarded as such, so you
Coming this summer to a theater near you. It started out as an innocent weekend rafting trip with the guys. Until...
Now, did we figure that Josh see Deliverance? Obviously he did. You certainly saw that.
Yes, you guys gave
thank
it.
God for that. Now, how could you not like that?
It was great.
There you go. He especially liked the part with Ned Beatty running around like getting spanked and raped and stuff like that. Because you know what a famous philosopher once told us? 21 till 2, we got the Mad Dog at 2, the Power Hour with the Mad Dog solo, because he certainly don't want to work with that. And then Geldy from the Yenta Center between 5 and 7, a 2-hour build-up for tonight. tonight's big game between the Panthers and the Toronto Make Believe.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
32 seconds, but who's counting?
The station that delivers presents
They're live again.
A Deliverance Weekend. All weekend long. You can qualify by winning video cassettes of the movie Deliverance.
What is it you require?
We require that you listen to the radio all weekend long.
Don't say anything, just do it.
The grand prize winner will be flown to Dothan, Georgia for a canoe trip for two down the Cohulawasi River, including accommodations in beautiful Aintree. It's easy to win.
Now let's see you just drop them pants. Just take them right off. Them panties. Take them off.
Simply be the 10th caller every time you hear Ned Beatty squeal like a pig. Squeal. It's a Deliverance Weekend all weekend long. From the station that gets you where it hurts. Q95.
Oh, QAM, where every break is a newscast. Wow. If you're not in there with a shotgun blowing holes in the ceiling in those offices this afternoon, I'm going to want to know why. You know what I'm saying?
What are you saying?
Do whatever you want. U.S. privacy protections rank among the worst in the democratic world, a London-based privacy organization said yesterday. Privacy International ranked 36 nations around the globe of them, including all European Union nations and other major democracies, and determined that in categories such as enforcement of privacy laws, the U.S. is on par with countries like China, Russia, and Malaysia. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. Overall, the U.S. was determined to be an extensive surveillance society, the second lowest rating in the study, which is available at Privacy International's website. The survey identified Malaysia, China, and Russia as the world's lowest-ranked countries in terms of privacy. It ranked Germany and Canada as those that best protect the privacy of their citizens, eh? How do you like that? The rankings established for the first time that most of the world's most economically advanced countries have failed to protect the privacy rights of their citizens, while some of the newest and poorest democracies have become the best protectors, wrote Privacy International Director Simon Davies in announcing the report. I wonder if he's kidding to Bud Davies. This is damning evidence that privacy is being destroyed by the very nations that proclaim to respect our rights, he said. It's clear that there is a systemic failure of legal mechanisms to protect us against the emerging surveillance society. Those responsible for protecting our rights have failed to do so. Australia, Britain, and the U.S. have not only performed abysmally, but they are embracing surveillance at an alarming speed. Wouldn't George Orwell be proud, huh?
Yeah.
The rankings were based on the Privacy and Human Rights Report, a 1,200-page survey of privacy experts conducted by Privacy International and the U.S.-based Electronic Privacy Information Center. The study has been published every year since 1997. That study detailed numerous surveillance and privacy-infringing activities by governments and corporations around the globe. This year, for the first time, Privacy International used that report to compare nations in about a dozen categories and rank them. Categories included use of identity cards and biometrics, levels of workplace monitoring, law enforcement access to private data, and communications interception. The U.S. fared poorly in multiple categories, including communication interception, workplace monitoring, and transmission of data across international borders, eh? But the U.S. wasn't the worst-performing democracy in the study. The United Kingdom was. The Brits. It placed last among EU countries. Among EU nations, Germany, Belgium, and Austria were at the top of the list. Outside the EU, Canada, Argentina, and New Zealand took the first three spots, eh? We got spots. Like a leopard, we got spots. Probably some disease. Not all privacy experts embraced the study or its methodology. Larry Poneman of the Poneman Institute, a privacy research firm, said the study failed to take into account other factors such as the active war on terror being conducted in the U.S. and U.K. That's always a good excuse for it, isn't it? The war on terror.
That's a war on terror. We need it.
Other countries are not engaged in the same kind of balancing act involving privacy and security, he said. In New Zealand, terrorism doesn't enter into their radar screen, he said by phone from Auckland, New Zealand. Poneman also said comparing different countries was tricky business with varying social and legal traditions, making comparisons less scientifically valid. They're trying to create a world standard even though people in different countries have different circumstances, he said. It's like trying to have a different tax rate when there isn't a common currency. Whatever the hell that means. You know what the hell that means? I haven't got any idea what that means.
What does that mean?
I don't know. 1,335 votes on the poll, and the best part of it is we're down to 49.8% who are liars and say that they love everybody. They're completely open-minded. They're open to anything. You know what I'm saying? Like,
rectum.
Oh, yeah, even that. Open-minded. Probably not the only thing they got open, as in, like when you go to the dentist, you know, open wide, like that. John Friedland writes, now who the hell is he? Oh, in the Guardian UK, that answers that. He says, next Tuesday's elections in the U.S. cannot alas remove the president, but they can change the political terms of trade. He says, first let's lay down the mother of all caveats. The conventional wisdom says Democrats are about to win control of the House and could well take the Senate too, but Here's the mega caveat. The conventional wisdom in Washington is often very, very wrong. Cast your mind back to election night 2004 when the U.S. media anointed President John Kerry. The warning this time is that Republicans might be fewer in number but more motivated and therefore likelier to turn out. Note, too, the reports the White House strategist Karl Rove, the election wizard famed as George Bush's brain, is in a cocky mood. In the contest that mattered, Rove reckons Republicans have the money and the machine to win. They got the machine to win, man. So Democrats and their friends should approach next Tuesday's congressional elections with low expectations. That way they won't be disappointed. In other words, like when you go to the casino or to the track, you should hope to lose everything you got, and then if you come out with your pants on, you feel like you had a good time. Follow?
What?
Then in the appropriate frame of mind, they can ask the question that matters, what difference will a Democrat win make, not only to the U.S., but to the wider world? There are a handful of policy specifics, including a promise to raise the minimum wage, but the party's election program is stunningly short on detail. It sets out 6 general goals. 6 for 06 is not a very snappy slogan, and runs to just a single page. But that's not the point. For a Democratic victory would change the terms of trade of American politics. The precedent is the year the Republicans swept the House, ousting the Democrats who had ruled there for an unbroken 40 years. The Republican landslide of 94 did what landslides are meant to do. It remade the terrain. From that point onwards, the Democratic President Bill Clinton had to navigate around a landscape shaped by the unctuous Newt Gingrich and his conservative revolutionaries. Gingrich set the agenda. Clinton could only react to it. He was reduced to protesting that he was still relevant. The result was that the president had to drop forever what had been his signature ambition, the reform of America's hideously unjust system of health care, and slash the welfare system for those without work. And it goes on at great length, which I'm not going to read the whole thing because that would be ponderous and boring and take much too long and slop over into the Mad Dog show, which we did yesterday, but it was his fault, not ours, because he had that long rejoin on there. Well, not his fault. It was Clarence's fault because the rejoins keep getting longer and longer and longer.
Well,
God.
It'll bring more people to sports.
Yeah, that's right. And you notice the tremendous impact it has in getting people to tune in on our sports shows. Look at, since we've been running those long, ponderous promos, how those sports show ratings are just zooming up on this station, aren't they?
Yeah, something. They're zooming.
It's almost as if somebody is standing in the middle of our transmitter inside the tube, you know what I'm saying?
Tube!
Inside the final tubes, and shouting to the audience a subliminal message saying, turn it off now, like Howard Beale was doing there, turn off your radio. If you can't, if you're not a sports nerd, if you're not obsessing about this, if you just can't get enough of it, if you're digesting it, chewing it, eating it, smelling it, sniffing it, non-stop, while you're awake, while you're asleep, and in between. See what I'm saying?
What are you saying?
I don't know people like that. I just don't know them. And we got some, like in those, like in the early morning when we got that .5 in men. Wayne Smith said the U.S. is deaf to the almost unanimous international view. Its embargo is a block on positive change in Havana. How do you like that?
Incredible.
We got time for this, too, I think. I do believe.
Good.
The annual vote in the UN General Assembly on the U.S. embargo against Cuba is back this month. Last year's results saw 182 member states oppose the blockade, with only 4, U.S., Israel, the Marshall Islands, and Palau, voting in favor. The embargo and indeed overall U.S. policy toward Cuba have virtually no international support. No wonder it's a failed approach. The essential elements of the embargo have been in place since 1960. I'm getting choked up about it. As recently the classified documents confirm, the objective of the policy since the beginning has been to bring about the downfall of the Castro regime, an ambition pursued in vain for 46 long, excruciating years. Early on, there may have been some logic to U.S. efforts to isolate Cuba and bring down its government. At that time, that is, when Fidel Castro was trying to overthrow the leaders of various other Latin American states and moving into a relationship with the Soviet Union, one that led to the missile crisis of '62. But all that is now ancient history. Castro has built normal, peaceful diplomatic relations in the region, while any threat posed by the so-called Cuban-Soviet alliance ended with the demise of the Soviet Union more than a decade ago. And yet the Bush administration's policy toward Cuba is more hostile than ever. This despite the fact that immediately after the terrorist attacks of 9/11, Cuba expressed its solidarity with the American people. It subsequently called for dialogue on joint efforts against terrorism. It also signed all 12 UN resolutions against terrorism. Surely these overtures were worth exploring, but no, the Bush administration rejected them out of hand and instead began calling for the downfall of the Castro government. As Roger Noriega, the Assistant Secretary of State for the Western Hemisphere Affairs, put it in October 2003, the President is determined to see the end of the Castro regime and the dismantling of the apparatus that's kept it in power. To bring that about, the administration appointed a Commission for Assistance to a Free Cuba, which in May 2004 produced a 500-page action plan for the removal of the Castro government and for what sounded roaringly like the U.S. occupation of Cuba, how to make their trains run on time, how to reorganize their schools, and so on. Shortly thereafter, it even appointed U.S. Transition Coordinator, as Jose Miguel Insulza, the Chilean Secretary General of the Organization of American States, remarked, but there is no transition and it isn't your country. The underlying premise of the document was that the regime was on the verge of collapse, just a few more sanctions that would all crumble. That proved wildly optimistic. 2 years on, the Cuban economy has a growth rate of at least 8%. New crucial economic relationships have been forged with Venezuela and China. The price of nickel, now Cuba's major export, is at record highs, and there are strong signs of development of a major new oil field off the north coast. The Bush administration simply ignored this reality. In a new document issued July 10th this year, it suggested that its plan was working and it produced a new stage in Cuba's transformation. But on July 31st, see, this is too long. I don't have time to read it. I'll just read the last. I don't have time. Unless you want to go a couple minutes into the 2 to 4 hour, which we don't. He says U.S. policy then is actually an impediment to precisely the kind of liberalizing changes the U.S. and its European allies should wish to see in Cuba. And given the counterproductive nature of U.S. policy, any country that supports that policy in effect works against any positive change in Cuba. Go talk to Miguel about it.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Unbelievable. We're going to go over again today, and I don't apologize.
People, I don't know why you're upset. Flew my private jet to the third world. Just like Brangelina, I adopted a baby. This kid just won the lottery, but you think it's for publicity. I care about the kid, keep the cameras rolling. Please, people don't preach, I'm his new mommy. People don't preach, 'cause I've got money. So I sign on the line, I'm taking this baby. My new African baby.